an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. As always, we are presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Those vampires over there at The Advocates. Yes, we gave blood yesterday, and it was amazing. Great turnout. Jake did not faint and fall out of the bus. I was a little disappointed in you for coming through like a champ, kid.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't pass out, man. I know that was something you were looking for. So
it was, actually. Nutter butters or Nilla wafers?
Well, typically I'm a Nutter Butter guy, but I saw the Nilla wafer and I went right after it because I hadn't had them in years.
That kind of hurt my soul. The blood drive was a raging success for the Advocates. You guys, you get into an accident, it's one of the worst days of your life. The Advocates know that. That's why they give you clear, risk-free advice at theadvocates.com, where you can chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. And I just cannot say enough. The program that they have coming for April is one of the most important initiatives that they have for the community year in and year out. I am so thrilled to be partnered with the quality of humanity that you get at the Advocates. And listen, no matter where you are, just opened a new office in San Diego. They're in Seattle and Washington, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Salt Lake City. Anywhere you're listening to this show, you get the Advocates at theadvocates.com. A wild day in NFL free agency yesterday, which is where I want to start. I continue to be amazed at the money that quarterbacks are making. And I think one of the most shocking moves is Sam Darnold to the Seahawks on a 3-year, $100 million deal that has $55 million in guarantees. I absolutely hate this move. Sam Darnold could have gone anywhere he wanted to go, and he chose Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
That's head scratching to me.
I mean, I just think that Sam is not a guy who wanted to play in a big market. There's no other way there's nothing else to attribute it to. You can't tell me that there weren't other options. We know there were other options. You can't tell me that there weren't better options, right? Because there were clearly better options. And so the fact that you went to Seattle, and again, it's nothing against Seattle, but Seattle is not a market in the NFL where you're going to have just all kinds of media attention on you and you're going to be the story of the league every week. And like we know that. And I have to say, Geno Smith and Sam Darnold every year except last year were essentially the same dude, and Geno was a little better. So to me, I look at this move and I say, yeah, Sam wanted to go somewhere where he could get paid, where he didn't have to play the whole media game like he did in New York. And he wanted to go somewhere where there probably isn't just this immense amount of pressure to win at a high level. Not to say that Seattle doesn't want to win, but just that there's not this expectation they're going to go out and win a Super Bowl, this year. So I think for Sam, that's probably what this is about. He wants to be somewhere that's comfortable, that he gets paid, and he can just do a job. And again, I want to make it clear, I have no problem with that. I actually don't have any type of issue with that. Right. This is not the Myles Garrett situation where you said you wanted to be traded because the organization was never going to win anything and you wanted to go and win, and that's why you play the game. Sam has not said any of that. Sam has just said, hey, man, I'm going to be available and I'm going to go and make my bed here. And that's exactly what he did.
I think this is one of the worst decisions on both sides of the football. I look at moves like the Lions signing DJ Reed, A+ home run.
Yeah.
everything that you want. And then we go to Sam Darnold, and I don't know what you do here. You're not Baker Mayfield because you don't have the weapons. That's the thing that continues to stand out to me. You invest $100 million, and if we're being honest, it's 55 in guarantees. I hate this move because who is he going to throw the ball to?
Mm-hmm.
You just traded DK Metcalf, so you turn around and invest $55 million guaranteed in Sam Darnold. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Why not just keep Geno at that point?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to trade your best weapons, Lockett's gone too, remember. This just does not make a lot of sense to me. I'm
think
flabbergasted
I think
by
clearly
it.
that, and I would agree with that, but I think part of it is too that the Seahawks must have a plan for what they want to do to add weapons. I mean, they must have some type of plan moving forward where they're going to go out and add some weapons. I mean, with all due respect to Jackson Smith and Jigma, you're not a number one. You're a secondary receiver. And the crazy part about his situation is he gets drafted there. He's 23 years old, I believe now. And all these veterans and dudes that he looked up to when he got drafted are now all gone. And so for him, this is a total change in day-to-day operations as well. And so that's why I'm saying, like, there must be, like, if you're the Seahawks, you're not going to ship all those guys out and make all these changes, then sign Sam only to not add any talent. That to me would be really surprising.
Yeah, and then I think a deal that I told you was going to happen yesterday on the show, Justin Fields, as you guys hit the like button, please hit the like button, signs with the Jets on a 2-year, $30 million guarantee. This makes a lot of sense. You're in a transition if you're the Jets. I think you still have some really good talent there. And I think he actually is going to be a very good fit in an offense that I think is going to be a lot more conservative than they were in the past, especially replacing Aaron Rodgers with Justin Fields. I think you're going to be a lot more conservative. This one I actually really like.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like the Jets are this organization that you just hired this new head coach. You've got all the fresh blood in the building, as they always say, and now you have a quarterback in Justin Fields that is okay. Like he's all right, but the reality of the situation is he's not your long-term solution. He's just for now, and so my question for the Jets is just simply, okay, if you're going to sign Justin Fields to this deal, what is the mission of the organization while he's here? Because if as you said, they're in transition, well, what do you have to get done in the transition? Well, who's going to be the guy that actually is going to take you back to the playoffs? Because I don't know, is that Justin Fields? Can they give him enough? Can they put enough around him? Like, I just feel like this
you
is
still have Garrett Wilson, who they played together at Ohio State, remember?
Yeah. And that's great.
Matters.
And that matters. That absolutely is important. But if I ask the question of, hey, like, is this a playoff team or even a wild card team? Even a team that could just be, if it comes down this coming season that the Jets in the final month of the season are right on the bubble for a wild card spot and they pull that out and then they lose in the wild card round, that's a great season. That is a phenomenal season that I would be really happy with. But if you come out and you're a 5-win team again, that's just going to be, I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Breece Hall is a hell of a football player, and nobody talks about him. Garrett Wilson's got to get off the pot, if you will. See,
yeah.
I would see. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, I am. I mean, that was a really good effort right there. That was really solid.
Garrett Wilson's got to step up now and be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL because he's capable of it. And I think he's got amazing chemistry. Those two like each other. They're supposedly very close friends. I have to think that they're far from done. Alan Lazard has permission to seek a trade. So I think the overhaul of the Jets roster is just beginning. But I look at some of these quarterback moves, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with the Cleveland Browns. Like, maybe it's not even that the Seattle signing sucks so bad. Because it really doesn't. It's not that much money.
It's really not.
The money in Seattle with Sam Darnold's not the issue.
The question
How does
is,
he not end up in Cleveland?
Well,
how?
Because I don't think Cleveland's an attractive opportunity. Like I don't know how much more. What else we got to look at here? I mean, ownership is garbage in Cleveland. Like, we know this. We know that players who go there don't have success. I mean, how many Jarvis Landrys are going to go through that organization before people realize that it's not a good organization right now? And again, I like the Browns. I think typically they're that underdog team that puts up a fight and just can't seem to get over the hump. But again, if you're in Sam Darnold's position, why the hell would you go there? There's no.
But are you in a better spot in Seattle?
Yes, I think at least in Seattle, there's not all this dysfunction and all this negativity and all this terrible experience. At least, I mean, because again, I don't disagree. It's not like Seattle's miles better or anything. Like, it's not like Seattle is just a superior football team and Sam's going to have the opportunity to win a Super Bowl there.
Well, and that division's winnable because right now.
Well, and that's the other part of the conversation. Yeah, that division's a lot weaker, no doubt.
Yeah, with what the 49ers did you guys see what the 49ers did? Like, it is wild to me. If you look at what San Frog's Disco did this week, is somebody like, are they going to fire John Lynch? Is somebody like scared for their job? Because when you're not a good team, I think behind the scenes, and I've heard this story 1,000 times. Behind the scenes, the conversation usually is, hey, shape up or we're firing your ass, right? Like, that's usually the conversation. Here's what the San Francisco 49ers have done. Okay, Kevin Givens, you don't know who that is. 5th round pick for Debo. Okay. Goodbye to Dre Greenlaw, Elijah Mitchell, Josh Dobbs, I think this whole list, I don't even need to go name by name. That's called a transformation.
Yeah,
that
I'm not
is,
talking about that.
I mean, you cut Kyle Juszczyk. His wife makes cool clothes. How can you cut him? You cut Kyle Juszczyk? What? Like, I'm not. I am stunned by it.
Man. I don't. What's the spin going to be? Hey, we're just trying to correct our cap. Is that what the spin's going to be? Is that not? And in the comment section, I would love to hear from you guys on this. Is the San Francisco 49ers burning that thing to the ground not one of the most shocking moves of free agency? Cutting those dudes, trading Debo. The Debo thing, people are making a big deal out of it. He's got to prove to me he's available. Yeah.
He's got to prove to me he can play.
Just hurts his trade value.
Yeah, tell me you can play a full complement of snaps in 17 games a year. But guys like Dre Greenlaw, Kyle Juszczyk is shocking. He is a leader in that locker room. That is shocking.
Yeah.
George Kittle being upset on Twitter last night, shocking that they cut him. Are they doing what has to be done, or I think very clearly that Brocktober was the guy that they were focused on.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a deal done with Brock Purdy, okay, totally get that. You're going to remake. I think their problem started with the Brandon Ayuk situation. I think huge mistake.
Well, I just think that you had this sort of buildup financially where you paid a lot of these guys, right? And you could only do it because Brocktober was on a rookie deal. And we all knew that eventually the Ayuks of the world, the Debo Samuels of the world were going to have to move along and not be on the team anymore because you can't afford them, right? You don't have enough room. And so at some point you knew the roster was going to change, but I think that, it's always a shocking thing when you can put a list together in one off season and all of those all Pro Bowl caliber talents are on the list. And that's the hard part is we don't know the vision that the John Lynches of the world have for the roster. I guarantee you John Lynch isn't out here cutting people without a plan for, hey, what is cutting this particular guy help us do moving forward? It's the Seattle thing, right? Hey, if we're going to trade these guys and, if we're going to get rid of Geno, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf, and then we're going to go sign Sam, what is the plan moving forward? These guys have plans and everyone's agreed to it, but that doesn't mean the plan is actually going to work. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see is Robert? Yeah, Robert Saleh's back as their defensive coordinator, right? I wanted to make sure he had the title. You can't tell me this isn't him remaking this defense, because you whack a bro like Dre Greenlaw and you start asking yourself, Javon Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw, Talano Hafunga, those are all like key contributors on defense.
But even the secondary guys, I mean, like guys
Charvarius
like
Ward
is a key contributor.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm telling you, this feels like a move to remake the defense and give Bobby Saleh what he wants. Now, the offense was a shit show to begin with. You had to, in my opinion, remake that offense. You had to re-energize it. George Kittle can't be the focus of it anymore. You need guys who can play.
mm-hmm.
What is the excuse on defense? There's only one, and it's Bobby Saleh wants a different group of dudes. And I think that's exactly what this is. This is either going to be unbelievable, and they are going to completely, I think, bring in younger guys that fit the systems they want to run, or they're going to be bad for 5 years.
Yeah.
You don't cut the quality. And that's the thing that should stand out to you. It's not even, these are quality contributors.
Yeah, like Elijah Mitchell is someone that you probably don't know, but is someone that contributed for them quite a bit.
I think when you look at some of the guys on this roster,
yeah,
and I think Elijah Mitchell's an interest. Now they've churned through running backs, right? But Elijah Mitchell,
he was clutch, man. I mean, they had injuries and he stepped in. Like, that's a guy that worked.
And again, where did he end up? The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
With those scumbags in Kansas City.
First time all domestic violence team with 7 or 8 guys now, that team.
Bro, you cannot put Xavier Worthy in that conversation.
Well,
actually, I can.
I can.
And hey, breaking news. Breaking news.
Sued or whatever.
Two holes just did so.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
I don't understand. And we could talk about this. Why are we so? Why is it that we're just assuming that he is a victim because his lawyer put out a statement? I mean, I don't think that we know what happened here. What I know.
I think we know what happened. When the cops and the DA are like, yeah, no, we probably shouldn't charge, bro. You don't think that's significant?
I mean, yeah, I think it matters. But the reality of the situation is that every offseason for the last, probably 3 or 4 at least, the Chiefs have this problem. And it's not just a Xavier Worthy problem. It is the Kansas City Chiefs, for whatever reason, have dudes that can't seem to stay out of trouble in the offseason. And Xavier Worthy is one of their most important players. Even though he's got a lot of development he still needs to do, he's one of the most important pieces on the offensive side, man.
I get it. I totally understand it. But I'm telling you, and if you don't know the Xavier Worthy story, let's recap it. Jake rushed to judgment, and he believes that Xavier Worthy should be in prison for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what you said. In the
with all due respect,
death penalty, I think is what you said.
Firing squad.
But
actually.
thank you,
Yeah.
firing squad. In all seriousness, you have a situation where Xavier Worthy and his living girlfriend allegedly break up. The girlfriend won't leave the home. Now, Xavier Worthy's side is that the girlfriend attacked him, ripped out his hair, battered him, then called police and claimed the exact opposite and said that Xavier Worthy attacked him. And you'll remember that Worthy was arrested Friday, booked for assault against a family or household member by impeding their breathing or circulation, a third-degree felony. This is a heinous accusation. This is long suspension. You're probably going to either have jail or pretty significant ramifications. Right? Like the assumption is, well, Xavier Worthy choked that girl. almost immediately the DA said, yeah, we're not going to pursue charges here. Well, what do you mean? He choked her and, he impeded her breathing or circulation. Well, because anytime, and this is just, again, my experience covering crime, anytime a district attorney, right now, says, nope, we're not prosecuting. I don't want anything to do with this case. In a domestic violence situation in the state of Texas with a famous athlete. That tells you, and I say that because famous people in Texas do not get a free pass. And domestic violence in Texas is actually handled very harshly. It is not something that is easy to get on. Williamson County Sheriff's Office quoting, after further investigation by the Williamson County Sheriff's Office and further discussion with third-party witnesses, Mr. Worthy and his attorney, this case is being declined at this time pending the completion of an investigation. Mr. Worthy and his lawyers are fully cooperating with the investigation. And there are, now obviously Worthy's side's not saying much other than this is complete BS, we didn't do this. But the reports are he immediately went to the police station. He got his attorney, and they immediately started talking and cooperating. Again, if you just precluded somebody from breathing and circulating their blood, you are accused of choking her. Are you immediately going to police station? Are you immediately cooperating? Probably not. I think domestic violence is heinous. And I've said on this show before, I think if you are found guilty of domestic violence, you should be banned for life in any professional sport. You should not be allowed to play again. And I think Xavier Worthy got railroaded here by this girl. And if I'm Xavier Worthy, I am aggressively pursuing her for such, because he'll never get away from this. You search Xavier Worthy's name for the rest of his life, and this will come up, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually believe him. And I don't often side with guys accused of domestic violence because usually they did it. Usually they're guilty.
Yeah.
And in this case, I don't believe that he is.
Yeah. Even if he's not guilty, it's still another Chiefs player who's in some kind of trouble. Some kind of something's happening. And the Chiefs need to figure that out. And again, I'm not saying it's their responsibility to babysit, but at some point, these guys need to stop going, need to stop speeding, need to stop getting in trouble with their significant others, need to stop. Like it would be cool if the narrative around the Chiefs in the offseason was that, they added a player or something like football related. We should still be talking about the fact that, fat ass Travis Kelce's coming back instead of talking about, whether Xavier Worthy is innocent or guilty and whether he, interrupted homegirl's blood flow. Like, that's the problem.
And again, this goes back to, if you think of the worst of these cases, you can usually tell right from the jump. Like Trevor Bauer. We had, for our long times, we went round and round about this Trevor Bauer thing. And we were on vastly different sides of it. I always felt like something wasn't right. Go back, watch the shows, you can see it. I always felt like something wasn't right. But what did Trevor Bauer do? Trevor Bauer, and not in question, had sex with a San Diego Padres fangirl.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer made a mistake there. What did Xavier Worthy do? The complainant was recently asked to vacate Mr. Worthy's residence upon discovery of her infidelity. She had refused to do so and made a number of extortive efforts. She tried to get money from him prior to resorting to this baseless allegation against Mr. Worthy. Usually, what's our biggest problem in life? The people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah, someone's got to get to Buddy and have him make better decisions.
I would agree. But if you look at this situation, the thing I agree with you is, I call them the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs for a reason. Go look at Patrick Mahomes' brother. Go look at the sordid laundry list of domestic violence, the parking lot incident. They're the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't disagree with you. This is another Chiefs player involved in a domestic violence
And
incident.
by the way, I hope that he's not like I don't disagree with anything you're saying about what the police are saying about this. I mean, I hope that I like Xavier Worthy as a football player. I don't know the dude. I don't know him personally. I've never even met the guy. Like all I'm saying is that I really like the skill set. Love the combine moment he had in the 40-yard. Loved what he did for the Chiefs this year. Like the guy as a football player is phenomenal. But what I don't want to do is, as both someone who talks about the NFL pretty much every day, but also as an NFL fan, I don't want to have another guy that I got to sit here and be like, yeah, hey, there's number one. Hey, remember when he choked that girl? I don't want to have to do that again. Like, how many times do we have to do that in sports? How many times do we have to watch a game where there's another guy who did something dumb or did something ridiculous? And I got to think about that instead of thinking about, how his 40-yard how his 40 is impacting, the end around that he's trying to run. Like, that's my issue.
Brandon Lopez, I live in Williamson County where he lives. They don't play around with this stuff. Don't say that he's guilty without all the facts. She was the aggressor and cheated on him. She made false claims. And she tried to extort him for money, and then she ripped his hair out.
Yeah, maybe I got ahead of it. Yeah, sure, okay. I was wrong.
I don't think you got ahead of it. Your opinion just is that he doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. And I can't even say that I disagree with that.
I don't think that. So here's my thing, and a lot of people disagree with this, but my whole thing with these type of situations, whether it's domestic violence or anything else, something that happened in your house, whether it's you're being accused of beating on someone, a gun went off, whatever. I don't know. It's different every single time. The reality is what we get is he said, she said, then there's an investigation. And then the day after the investigation, we kind of have a good idea about which way this is going to go. And all I'm saying is that when it comes out the other day that, hey, you're being charged with this and you were booked for this, it's immediately not a great look. And so
that's right.
9 out of 10 times, the what is it, Williamson County sheriff or whatever county you're in doesn't come out and say that they're not going to prosecute the case or they're not going to move forward with it because it doesn't look like you did something.
Again, I'm telling you, and I think Brandon as much said so. They don't play around with domestic violence,
which again is another thing that Xavier Worthy's people should be saying to him, like, hey, dude, you happen to live somewhere where this type of stuff is not to be trifled with. Like, make better decisions with all due respect.
Yeah, I think the hard part is men don't get the benefit of the doubt. That's a different show. I totally get it.
But I think we've seen that play out over a million times over.
Xavier Worthy, if this in fact goes all the way to the line and Xavier Worthy was proven to be a victim here, again, I would go after her legally and civilly as much as I could because he's never going to get away from this. This is not... Who's another NFL player? Von Miller. This is not like pick your guy. Xavier Worthy, to me, you don't rip a guy's hair out.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Eric Wasikowski, did y'all believe the Duke lacrosse story at the beginning? This is nothing to do with
it's just a terrible comparison.
Yeah, the Duke lacrosse story was racially, explosive. I was on on national radio at that time, and I can tell you straight away, everybody, at least everybody on our show that I was doing at the time, everybody was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, I just think that it's a terrible comparison.
Yeah.
One has nothing to do with the other. Eric and Raleigh, apparently being accused of domestic violence gets your career cut short. See Trevor Bauer.
Well, no. That's not why Trevor Bauer's career was cut short. Let's be very clear about why Trevor Bauer's career was cut short. Trevor Bauer's career was cut short because the nature of the conversation was heinous and uncomfortable, and nobody wanted to be seen to do business with somebody who was doing that in his bedroom.
And Trevor Bauer, while I 100% agree with the courts, Trevor Bauer was the victim in this case.
Yeah.
Whether you want to embrace this or not, how did we even get here? Whether you want to embrace this or not, when you have those kind of tendencies behind closed doors and people shed a bright light on them, guilty or innocent, you're guilty and you're going to pay a price. And he's playing in, I think, Korea again this year because of it.
Yeah, I just think that nobody in Major League Baseball wants the headline of, hey, Cincinnati Reds sign, formerly accused Trevor Bauer. Like, nobody wants to do that, dude. Nobody wants to be part of that energy.
I agree. No, see, Eric? No, they don't. Domestic violence, I'm not even.
Should have known better.
Von Miller would be a nice fit for the Chiefs. Stop. Old Tatanka. As much as I hate the cheats, I don't know you can hang this on them. Well, I don't think we're hanging this on them. What I'm saying is it's not coincidental that you have organizations, the Dallas Cowboys,
right,
who are more willing to bring in guys with questionable character. Now, is Xavier Worthy of questionable character? I don't think so. He's never proven to be that. But was Xavier Worthy involved in a domestic violence situation? Yeah, he was. Have the Kansas City Chiefs had a horrendous laundry list of dudes involved in these and worse? Yes, they have. It's hard to get away from it.
And the other thing that comes to my mind about any of these situations, not unique to Xavier Worthy, but do you understand that, like, for a domestic violence situation to bore out, do you understand how heated things have to get? Like, you're talking about, like, the report literally talks about how she allegedly rips out his dread. Like, what?
She ripped a dreadlock off his head.
Do you understand what has to take place for it to get to that point? Like, that's
love.
What I'm
love
saying,
does terrible things. As men, we have to be really careful with the women that we choose, because we all make choices in life, and we have to be held accountable for our choices. There's no doubt. The Duke story is completely different. 100%.
Yeah, I just think it's not
100%.
Yeah.
It's a terrible analogy.
Yeah.
In Bauer's case, it helps your case if you aren't a general douche to begin with, like Trevor Bauer. Well, and if you're a Major League Baseball player, you shouldn't be out dating women who have hooked up with other major leaguers, including some of your best friends.
Yeah.
And who is a known, when you pitch for the LA Dodgers, she's a known San Diego Padre fangirl.
And yet you still did it.
And you still did it. And the things you put in those chats and donuts. Good morning. J2S is right. The court of public opinion is a hard thing to overcome.
Well, and that's
impossible.
The thing, like, for Trevor Bauer, he's never getting over that. But then again, it's you just said this 5 minutes ago. Like, Xavier Worthy, probably for the rest of his life, when you Google him, this is going to come up. Now, it would help. It would help if Xavier Worthy and the Chiefs won a few more Super Bowls and he flew below the radar off the field, and then on the field was a star. And if he just, this is what I always say to guys. And I feel like we say this every time. If you have money, like that kind of money, you have to be really careful with what you do. And all you got to do not to mess it up is just be a football player, dude. Be in the facility every day. Take 2 vacations every year with your family and move on with your life.
I think it's incredibly important for all of us. And I say this every time. We talked about this during the Trevor Bauer thing as well. Talk to your sons and daughters about this.
Yeah.
If you're a parent who's raising a teenager, especially, and now that number gets younger and younger. But if you have somebody that's 12, 13, 14 years old, you need to be talking to them about relationships and using things like the Xavier Worthy situation as an example of, hey, these are things we need to understand. Talk about relationships, volatility. I just think there are opportunities to have real world discussions with our kids.
Yes.
And I think it's really important. We used to talk about this all the time when Jake was a kid. Chewy Gonzalez, in other news, Rams are no longer in the Pooper for Cooper Cup. But they are in the...
let me get this right. And I saw this yesterday. And I thought it was really funny. So Rams go out and say, yeah, we don't want to re-sign a 32-year-old wide receiver in Cooper Cup. Only to go out and sign Devontae to a deal. And
a multi-year deal.
So... Again, with all due respect to Cooper Cup, the Rams, this was just a preference choice. This was, hey, we would rather have Devontae over Cooper Kupp. We feel Devontae's a better, or maybe has a higher percentage of staying on the field, which I can respect. So again, if you're Cooper Kupp, and this kind of alludes itself to what we were talking about earlier in the show, you got to get to a good situation, right? You got to find, and maybe not the Chiefs, but like the Bills have a huge need. Obviously, like the Vikings would be a decent spot depending on what kind of quarterback.
And
JJ
he is a slot possession receiver.
Yeah,
I don't think if Cooper Kupp is a guy you're bringing in to be that explosive guy he's been, you're sadly mistaken, because I don't think he can stay healthy. But the funnier part about the LA Rams with Devontae is Puka Nacua saying that he's going to have to figure out what to do with the number 17 because Devontae is going to want Puka Nacua as number 17.
Hey, man, you better pull the Juan Soto, Devontae. Buy dude a car or something, man.
Yeah. Eric and Raleigh, there's a reason Jim Rome said all those years ago, less of you and more of me makes for a better show.
Well, that's facts.
That's facts.
Yeah. With all due respect.
That is facts. Did Monty ever have dreadlocks? I did not. Decisions we make dictate the lives we lead.
Yeah,
yes,
the whole dreadlock thing, it just really stood out to me. Like, you're literally sitting here describing a situation where she pulled a dreadlock out of dude's head. And he didn't have, like, short dreadlocks.
No.
Like Xavier Worthy has longer, thicker dreadlocks. Like, it's just crazy.
I'm just begging you guys, don't put your hands on women. Don't do it. And if women are violent with you, leave. Or you leave.
Yeah.
Leave. If they're throwing things around the house, it's time for you to go. Like, I just don't put yourself in. Violence is never the answer in a relationship, ever.
Yeah.
And it never, and donuts. That high school basketball game in Penn is incredible. Parents, bro, did you hear about the father who shot a coach because of his son's playing time? You murked a coach because of your son's playing time.
Dude, come on, bro.
You can say,
come on.
You can say a lot about, anyway, it's fine. Eric and Raleigh, you have 148 watching live right now. No, try like 670 something. And only 30 likes. Come on now. Yeah, if you're watching on X, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you're watching, Spotify.
Migrate to YouTube and hit the like button.
Come on over to YouTube. Give us a subscribe and hit the like button.
Yeah.
Let's get back to NFL free agency because heavens to Betsy, should
us.
we actually talk. Real quick, let's reset and tell you, I think this now is the most fascinating story in all the NFL.
Is Russell Wilson not just a backup plan for teams now? Like Aaron Rodgers is in the driver's seat, is going to decide where he wants to go. And to your point, Flowers, you're amazing. You're the best ever. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers looks like it has a great opportunity of happening. And now Russell Wilson is going to go be an afterthought with whoever, not named the New York Jets. So are you telling me the Giants are in on Wilson now? I
think there's some belief that it's going to be really interesting to watch Minnesota. What do you do at quarterback in Minnesota? I think Russ is a fit for the Giants. I think that Aaron Rodgers is the only fit in Pittsburgh. The only fit. I don't know. You don't spend that much money on wide receiving talent like DK Metcalf, where you spend $150 million. Mm-hmm. You still have several top performers on defense who you don't expect to be top performers for 2 more years. You have a 1 to 2 year window here to win a Super Bowl. And I think you don't look at that division, and you're in a division with Baltimore and I think the AFC on the whole, right? You look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is offensively gifted. You've got to have an arm in Pittsburgh. And Russ showed you last year. I don't know. Were you at all impressed with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Russ showed he's still got some left in the tank. I think the problem was that you had this dynamic in Pittsburgh between these two guys where it was like Justin Fields was this younger, real energetic quarterback that could make a lot more plays with his legs and kind of just injected energy into the offense. Whereas Russell Wilson gave you more opportunities to win, but was much more of like this veteran guy who, wasn't as energetic and like young blood mentality kind of guy. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that Russell Wilson can still be a guy in the league. I still think he can play, but again, it's not like, hey, you look at this guy and say, yeah, we can win a Super Bowl for whatever reason. Again, call me an a-hole if you want to.
You're an
People
a-hole.
look at Aaron Rodgers and think you can still win a Super Bowl. Okay, cool. Go knock yourself out. The next time Aaron Rodgers gets close to a Super Bowl, I don't know what I'll do because I don't think that's happening. But the Steelers clearly think that that's a thing. So for Russell Wilson, he's got to get to a situation where he can just be somewhat successful, like meaning you're not a terrible team. Like when you think about Russell Wilson, you think about what happened to Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. You think about what transpired for him and how bad they were. That can't happen for Russell Wilson.
I think several things are very clear here. The Pittsburgh Steelers want to throw the football. That's why you let Justin Fields go.
Right.
Justin Fields is arguably the second best running quarterback in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson. And you look at the numbers that are put up. When Justin Fields starts a game, his team's average the second most rushing yards in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson.
Right.
That's not who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. You know that already. Too many turnovers running the football, including Russell Wilson last year.
Yeah.
They want to throw the football. You don't go trade for DK Metcalf to be a run-first offense. Now, Mike Tomlin, always going to run the football a lot, which is fine. But when you have that kind of dynamic wide receiver, you look at Russell Wilson's numbers last year, 225 yards a game, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks on only 33 sacks. Those are not good numbers. And I look at George Pickens, that's a 1,000-yard wide receiver waiting to happen.
Right.
You add DK Metcalf, you've got possession, explosiveness. You've got one of the better tight ends in the league. I don't think there's any doubt Aaron Rodgers is not a great fit. He is the best fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt about it.
You think they can win a Super Bowl with him?
I do. I think they can win. They are, and they're going to have to, in my opinion, they're going to have to make significant moves to bolster their defense. And if they do that, I think that they will be fine. And I think the biggest issue there is you were in games you should have won last year. And when you end the season the way that they ended the season, and you only score 14 points against the Ravens after absolutely falling apart, you got to be better offensively.
Right.
Down the stretch, they scored 13, 17, 10, and 17. That's not enough. So what did you do? You just got more explosive. You just got one of the best deep threats in the NFL, and you paid him $150 million in DK. Now you got to get a quarterback who can give him the ball, and that's not Russell Wilson. I love Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If it happens.
Yeah.
I think it will.
Do you feel like, because ESPN has been talking about it all morning, that I think, or the verbiage Orlovsky used was, it's increasingly likely that it happens, I think is what they had said.
They're waiting on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. And again,
God, you hate Aaron Rodgers
I'm
so
here.
much.
Let me go ahead and say it. Let me be that guy. Let me be the guy that loves to hate on Aaron Rodgers. Here we are again, yet again, talking about Aaron Rodgers and everybody and their mom waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a decision.
The NFL's on hold again.
Here we are again. So, again, he's not even on your roster and you're waiting for him. Now, this is what's going to happen. Dude's going to sign with the Steelers, let's say. Next story that comes out is, hey, he didn't show up to training camp on time. You just write that down.
But when has he ever done that? He's not that guy.
Okay, well, listen, man.
Has he been that guy? No.
At some point,
Did he go to Burma or wherever the hell it was last
some
year?
hole in the ground to take a dump and get high and feel better about himself?
Cool,
dude.
But he didn't
Cool.
take a dump and
Cool.
get high.
Whatever it is.
He went to Egypt on I think, wasn't it Egypt, you guys, on like a spiritual journey?
Okay, so he went into the pyramids to do it. I get it, dude. I understand
my
that
God.
dude has a process in
Come
place.
on.
I understand.
And
that-
it wasn't training
Listen.
camp, it was OTAs.
Oh, sorry.
Who gives a rat's
Oh,
ass?
I give a rat's ass because he's the quarterback of the team. He is a new quarterback in the organization, and you need to build relationships. You need to be, if you want to be the leader of a team, you don't just show up during week 1 and think that you're just going to come out and everything's going to be perfect, and then complain about it when Mike Williams runs the route the wrong way and, all of a sudden isn't running right when he should have run left. Well, maybe if you'd done OTAs with Mike, and maybe if you were in training camp the whole time, and maybe if you were fully invested, you wouldn't have had those issues.
Did
with your
I
wide
fail
receivers.
you as a parent?
No,
I feel like I
know
failed
what
you
you've
as a
done?
parent.
No, you didn't fail me. You gave me everything I needed to hate on Aaron Rodgers, because I'm not giving dude a free pass. And when they flame out as a 9-win team with their Lamborghini of a quarterback on a busted up Achilles, then what are we going to do? We're going to talk about
wait.
how this dude is not living up to it.
How did Sam Darnold do post Jets?
Not great, honestly.
What?
Not great. What are we sitting here talking about with Sam Darnold? What are we talking about?
That he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last year?
And then he couldn't get a new contract
Oh,
because he
my God.
flamed out in the playoffs.
Wow.
It's
He-
not
okay.
wow, dude. It's
I'm
what
not
happened,
saying
bro.
when he left the Jets, he was a better quarterback. Was Aaron Rodgers a good quarterback last year? Yes. Yeah, actually, he was. I'm not talking about taking a dump in a dark hole, getting high. I'm not here to talk about that with Aaron Rodgers, because that dude does that. I totally agree. Is Aaron Rodgers a normal dude? No. Is Aaron Rodgers likable? No. Does his family hate him? Absolutely. Does that mean he sucks as a quarterback? No. Stop. You can play fart zippers all you want. What I'm telling you is Aaron Rodgers is still a hell of a quarterback. Now, is he the same NFL MVP caliber quarterback that he was? I don't know is the answer. If we're talking football only, I want Aaron Rodgers. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is the only guy.
He's got no class.
Well, that's not the point. You're such a jerk. Tell me Aaron Rodgers, 3,897 yards, 28 tutties and 11 picks, sacked 40 times.
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers had a good year last year on a really dysfunctional football team. And taking a dump in a hole while high was part of the dysfunction. I agree with that. He had a good year last year. He still plays quarterback at an elite level. And in my opinion, he would be transformative for Pittsburgh.
What's a great year in year 1 in Pittsburgh?
4,500 yards in 30 touchdowns.
Okay.
And I think he's more than capable of that. With that offense, with Freiermuth alone, I think he would have a chance
Who
to
is
break
their offensive coordinator?
your mom,
Like,
Arthur Smith, I think, right?
is it Arthur Smith?
Yeah, I think that when you have a guy in Aaron Rodgers, again, you guys, I'm just going to keep going back to it. You do not pay DK Metcalf what you paid him and just let
Well, I agree with that. I think
Russell
I think
Wilson
what
be
you-
your starting
Yeah,
quarterback.
what you paid for him definitely insinuates that you believe you're going to get Aaron. I mean, that just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Oh, God. Mayor McCluskey's here early today. That's usually not good news. Being a good QB makes everyone around you better. Rodgers doesn't make the offense around him better. I disagree. You can't judge him. The Jets are dysfunctional. Did anybody see where Hot Mom's milfification son went?
Oh, anytime, any game, anytime, anywhere, Monty. Anytime.
Banged my mom's friend is now the backup quarterback in Miami. The MILF Hunter.
Dude. Oh, by the way, while we're on Miami, I forgot to bring this up and get it. Anybody see Tua with the gut on the boat yesterday? Anybody
Yes.
see that video come out, dude?
See, now I knew I knew because you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to bring this up today.
Ain't no reset.
And I intentionally, I'm tired of you fat shaming people.
Well, dude looks pudgy, dude.
Who are you, Zion Williamson?
What are you, Luca? Like,
Hey,
come on,
Luca.
bro.
Hey, Luca, nice job being a quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting here talking about, the all-pro Ozempic team here, and they're all on boats and not performing, dude.
Hey,
come on,
listen,
bro.
Tua, you on the needle? Because you used to be.
Come on.
I remember when you looked like you were 37 pounds.
Are we playing the National Flag Football League or the NFL? Dude, at some point, your ass needs to get in shape, dude. Come on. Gosh.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring that up. I think Zach Wilson's a great backup quarterback.
He's going to get time there, man. Tua has not shown to play a full season.
And I still maintain that Tua Tagovailoa is not an NFL franchise quarterback. Jeremy Bolton, did Tua join the all-fat pro team with Zion, Harden,
dude.
CJ Miles, and CC Safathia? I don't know. Did he? You guys are so mean.
James Larden
listen,
in the fat suit.
Listen, Larden has a glandular issue.
Oh, my God.
Aaron Rodgers must have the hyperbolic time chamber in his mind and all those shrooms in ayahuasca he does, dude.
Yeah. You've come around on him since watching the documentary, bro.
No.
The documentary changed you, bro.
I understand him now.
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. As an owner of the Chicago Bears, he's failed us. Never mind. My point is, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers.
That's bullshit.
I am not, but I understand him. I understand Aaron Rodgers now.
Okay, what does that mean? You understand him?
I didn't understand why you were such a miserable SOB.
Okay.
I didn't understand, what makes a guy that's performed at his level fail so miserably in the only moments that matter. Because that's Aaron Rodgers, right? If we're truth telling about Aaron Rodgers, he has failed in almost every moment that has mattered on the football field. The Super Bowl, awesome. Look at the precipitous decline in big moments for Aaron Rodgers throughout his career. Hey, my ankle hurts. I'm injured. I'm limping around. There's always something. My family hates me. I smash the hottest chicks in Hollywood and then break their hearts. What was that miserable component? What I have learned about Aaron Rodgers through this documentary he does on Netflix is he understands that that's who he is. So why did he go into the hole to take a dump? Because he wanted to understand why he was that guy.
He needed a reset. We understand.
Hey, ain't no resets, man. All I'm saying is I understand him now.
Ain't no reset.
It doesn't mean he's a nice guy. It doesn't mean he's a high character guy, because I don't think he is.
So
it doesn't mean he isn't a conspiracy theory loon, because he is.
Well, yeah.
But what I'm telling you is I don't care about any of that as long as he throws for 4,500 yards and 30 tutties for the Steelers next year. And I think he's very capable of doing that.
Yeah, I guess you just have more belief. I'm still struggling to understand. So I'm struggling to understand. You're saying that, okay, you're able to relate to him and his struggle. You're able to understand why he struggles.
Yeah, because I as somebody who has some contempt for self, which I do, I have battled myself for a good part of my life. I've always, I hate certain things that I have battled in my life. You have to take proactive action to address those issues. And I give him credit. He chose hallucinogens. Do what you do, man.
So just so we're on the same page, you feel like because he's done that, he's gone through that process, and that's how he chose to go about it. You feel like that's kind of now put him in a position where he could, once again be, the 4,500 yard, 30 touchdown.
No, I think he can be the 4,500 yard, 30 touchdown guy because he's a year removed from his Achilles tear.
Okay, so you think because it's year 2 off of the injury?
Yeah, I think and we can sit here and we can joke about ayahuasca and The guy had one of the worst injuries a quarterback can have on one of the worst franchises a quarterback can play for. I think Aaron Rodgers is the exact right fit in Pittsburgh. I don't think he's like some statesman and a nice human being now. I don't.
No, I think what the struggle, what I struggle to understand with, and it's not just you, like with people who think that Aaron is going to bounce back and be this. He's got those 2 years left that we always talk about with athletes. This is not unique to Aaron Rodgers, right? We talk about it with LeBron. We talked about it with Tom Brady when Tom was still playing. Like, hey, how many years
Tommy.
does LeBag and Tommy have?
LaGramps.
Yeah, LaGramps, LaFlag Bearer James have left at a really high level. And the problem is that the difference between those two guys and Aaron is those two guys didn't have the major Achilles injury or a major injury that is holding them down. And that's where I struggle to believe that this guy is going to come out here and have a great year. Now, is he the best quarterback they will have had in quite some time? Yes. He's probably, to your point, I think you said it yesterday, he's probably the best quarterback they've had since Ben Roethlisberger.
He is.
And so for the Steelers, you understand that.
And he's a workout warrior. And he's a consummate professional.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who, what did he do when he went to the Jets?
You don't want to ask me that question, bro.
Before that fateful injury, he had built incredible chemistry with that offensive line and his skill position players. And how did he do that? He flew them out to California. They spent a lot of time together. He absolutely, for everything that Aaron Rodgers is not, he's actually a really good teammate. For everything he's not, he understands how to connect with his guys. And you look at the way that Pittsburgh has suffered, they need an arm, and he is still an arm. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, all things being equal, staying healthy, 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns should be the minimum expectation. And I think he can deliver that because he is locked on one thing, and that's winning another Super Bowl. And is there a better place to do that than Pittsburgh? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yes, hit the like button, please, right here on the Monty Show as we'll get into SEC. And really, we want to get back to that Ed Scott interview because a lot of people asked the same question that we asked about Memphis and the AAC. But please do hit the like button. Noel Ramirez, Aaron Rodgers must have the hyperbolic chamber. I read that one. Tua just signed a deal with Ozempic. You guys are heartless.
Dude, it's a terrible look, though. You can't skip over this. Dude being on a boat, looking intoxicated, looking really extra tan and glowy and vibing, only to have a gut and look out of shape is just not a great look, especially when you're coming off of a season where you had the concussion and like it just wasn't great, man. And now this dude, think cool. And again, in his defense, I don't know who this woman is taking the video, but the woman taking the video, it just kind of finds him in the background, I guess we'll call it dancing.
Finds them in the background.
Yeah, like, bro, you can't.
Should we show the picture?
Dude? We can't have.
Should we show the picture? I don't.
He earned it. You put yourself on video, dude. You earned it.
Upper right-hand corner.
Yeah.
He's got a pot belly, and he's hammered, it looks like. And he's on a boat with hot chicks. I get it. It's only March. This is his winter body. He's insulating. I understand it.
This is his winter body, bro.
He does not look in shape. He looks fat. He looks like he's got a pot belly. And he, to me, is somebody that, how do you allow, I feel bad for Tua. It's never going to be good enough. The guy is going to live a tortured life. And
you don't see Aaron Rodgers doing this.
No.
And I will give Aaron Rodgers credit for that. You don't see this out of Aaron Rodgers. There's not a...
Because Aaron Rodgers is a health nut.
You don't see Aaron, and again, in Aaron's defense, You don't see Aaron Rodgers not in the walking boot making out with his girlfriend on the side of the road when he should be in a walking boot.
And then re-tears the Achilles tendon.
Re-tears the Achilles tendon
What you
because you weren't.
see on the and again, this is why I think I have a little better perspective than most people on Aaron Rodgers. This is why. The Aaron Rodgers took that rehab of his Achilles like it was life ending. And we all joke, but the guy rehabbed 24/7, traveled physios with him everywhere he went, right? Like, and then there's Tua doing this, and it's just a bad look. And then they sign the MILF Hunter to replace him. It would appear, right?
Oh,
and he's going to get that cougar tail on South Beach,
bro.
You know. I heard that Justin Fields just got traded to the Jets. No, he's a free agent. He signed with the Jets on a 2-year deal. Chewy, Tua is about to go into hibernation. Let him eat.
Right.
Tua is in hibernation mode.
Yeah, it's his winter body.
You know, it's fine. He's cultivating mass.
You know what it is? You know what Tua's excuse is?
Wow.
He's bulking right now. That's his excuse.
It's
He's
his bulking season.
It's his bulking season.
I'm
right?
lifting. I haven't done cardio because I'm putting on muscle here.
Yeah, you know, he's in the bulk portion.
Do you even lift?
And I ran out of Ozempic a month ago.
Yeah, so, you know.
You guys are such jerks. Oh, my God. Jeremy Bolton, who will have better stats? Aaron throwing 30 touchdowns or Tua eating 35 by 5s at In-N-Out? Wow. Wow. Wasikowski, Jake lets personal decisions cloud his judgment. Could be.
How so?
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. You know. Wasikowski, I'll let you know if I run into the MILF Hunter. Be careful.
Right.
Be careful. Because you know. It's the Luka Doncic look. Just not into working out and taking care of himself. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah, you know, Luka Doncic, you know, that guy.
You're such an ass. Oh, hookah. My name is Hookah.
Dude.
I smoke on the second floor.
My name is Luca.
I smoke on the second floor. Oh my God.
Stay hard.
No, Rock and Rant. He did not eat the Dolphins. Wow. He ate the. This show is not nice.
Oh my God.
Tua hitting the roller food hard.
Yeah.
Stay hard.
That fecal matter will put pounds on you.
Yeah, you know.
Do you guys? We're not nice people.
They don't get the benefit of the doubt. Their only job is to be in shape, bro. That's it. That's your only job.
And Jake and I have talked about this in the past. If our only job was to work out and hit golf balls, dude I would have a 6-pack.
Yeah, like honestly.
You know, it is what it is. Jeremy Bolton, the all-fat team is signing Luka as a free agent. There you go. How are they going to get to back up Ozempic Tagovailoa?
Yeah.
Well, Luka Doncic is available. Wow. Tua will play himself into shape. It's the Barkley plan.
Right.
Remember Charles Barkley? Yeah. Round mounded, you know. You guys playing golf today? No, we are not. I live in Salt Lake City where it's always winter.
We're always in hibernation mode.
I don't want to hear it. Eric and Raleigh. Tua's brain swelling causes the belly puffiness.
Okay, too far.
Come on, man.
Too far.
Tyreek dumping on Tua is rich. Tyreek's another one.
Yeah.
That it's fine. All right. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show. Jake asked for time to make a presentation to the audience. So
I'm not doing it today. Absolute, just complete failure in Prize Picks last night. Still have $850 in the account from all my winnings before, but just an awful look last night. So I think I think I'm going to have to retire and take a break and then unretire. And, you know, that's what I'm going to have to do.
Don't fuck.
You don't listen to me. You don't listen to me. How did I do on Prize Picks last night?
I don't know. How'd you do?
I didn't play.
Oh.
I had other things happening. I had to give blood and,
Right.
But I will tell you tonight, did you guys see the Lakers lose without LeBron? This is the problem with fat ass, is that Luka Doncic is not, and all the Maverick fans and all the LeCap haters.
Yeah.
You have to own it. You have to own it. That team is LeBron James or not.
Yes.
Luka Doncic is not going to. God, I hate that you said that. Luka Doncic, who smokes on the second floor, is never going to lead that team to a championship.
Right.
They're just not. Jake is pulling a Tua in Prize
100%, dude. 100%. Yep. Gotta get back on the winning ways here tonight. I don't know.
I think Asur Thompson, 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Take less. It's, although it is the Wizards. He did Brooklyn and Utah and then didn't do it against the Clippers, Golden State, and Portland. So I think that's an interesting one.
The thing that's interesting, I didn't notice this till right now with this. Prize Picks had a major update over the weekend, and they totally revamped
beautiful
the
app.
It looks
now.
amazing. But the other thing that they did that I really like here is they're giving you, it used to just be they'd give you one goblin or demon, a goblin being a real easy win that pays a little less, demons being much harder to win but pays a ton more. So risk versus reward proposition that you have to choose between. And now they're giving you like 3 or 4 goblin and demon numbers and saying, hey, if you pick the middle, that's going to pay you a certain amount, or you pick the low one. Like, I love the options they're giving you. I feel like you don't see that a lot.
I totally agree. And I think when you look at the NBA tonight, I think that you have to, like CJ McCallum is a very interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
CJ's got a 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists number. His Goblin's 19.5, which pays less. His Demons are 34.5. I think probably a Goblin, he can win that one.
Yeah.
Zion, 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists on a Goblin. His Demon is 40. I would tell you not to take the Demon.
And who is this? Clippers.
I think 35.5. I think I'm going more on that one.
Right.
Because I think Chubbs is actually in really good shape. And then there's James Larden. And I think you got to go more. So my 3 tonight, Donovan Mitchell, more than 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Zion Williamson, more than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And Larden, more than 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Going to do a $20 flex play, which means I'm going to take those 3, and only two of 3 have to hit for me to win.
Okay, I'm going with you on the Zion pick.
Here we go.
More than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Taking Kawhi Leonard, Goblin, 3.5 rebounds. That should be a gimme. And then I'm going to demon Derrick Jones Jr. for 1.5 3-pointers made. He's got more than 2 in his last 3 games. He's been shooting it well. So $20 flex play to win a hundo.
Sharice and Eric Wasikowski going back and forth.
What are we doing?
So Sharice is a noted Ohio State fan. Eric Wasikowski, the resident Michigan State fan.
Right, yeah.
Sharice says, yeah, Justin Fields just signed a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Jets. Eric Wasikowski, the resident Michigan State fan. Wow, really, Sharice? That's like 24-hour-old news. Not wrong. To which Sharice says, Eric Wasikowski, you're literally a Michigan fan pretending to be a Michigan State fan. So I would be quiet if I were you.
Oh, yeah.
love it, dude. I love it.
I think this is what the show
Yes.
is. Phenomenal Hebrew. Monty, can you get the AD from Tulane and ask why he keeps linking up the institution he's supposed to represent with Memphis? I mean, it's possible we could get him. Let's talk about this situation with Memphis yesterday. Because you know that Dr. Ed Scott was on the show, and he kind of lit the world on fire yesterday with some of the comments he made. And this one about the Pac-12 really caught people's attention. Are you in a place, A, where you're still available to the Pac-12? Does that interest you? And have you spoken to or do you have a continuing dialogue with the Pac-12 right now?
I appreciate the directness of the question. We're committed to the American because it's the only home I have, right? It's the only home we have as a department. We don't have any other offers. We don't have an additional offer from the Pac right now. And Teresa and I only had that one conversation after everything transpired. And I did that press scrum, which I really appreciated my conversation with her and her approach. So right now, you know, and I'm sure you're going to ask this, our focus is really on just winning and winning at a high level because that's what we can control. I'm less worried about the Pac-12, the Big 12, and I'm more worried about making sure we compete at the very highest level we can.
Do you like what he said there? Do you agree with him? What did you take away from that comment from Ed Scott?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that it's definitive. I mean, there's not any type of like, there's not any wavering. There's no like hemming and hawing. There's no sort of this back and forth. It's very definitive. It's very clean cut. Like, we're committed to the home we have. I'm less worried about the Pac-12 or the Big 12. And I'm more worried about winning here and being successful here because this is our home right now, and so my takeaway from that is just that, Dr. Scott is very clear on where Memphis is at. And I think, I think that's really valuable. I think that there's a lot of institutions and leaders at these institutions that I feel like are not super clear on what the plan is moving forward, not fully committed to, hey, like where we are, where we're trying to go or what we're trying to do. And I think that's something that plagues college athletics, administrators not knowing exactly what they want to do moving forward. And so my takeaway is just that he does know where, what he wants to do moving forward. He does know what they should be prioritizing. And right now, if you go back and listen to the interview, we talked all about this. Right now, the priority is winning college basketball games in the tournament, making a deep postseason run in the tournament with Memphis basketball, and understanding that if they do that, they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to be in a good spot. So that is my takeaway. That in the interview is littered with this type of energy, which is, hey, here's the question. Here's a super direct answer because I know where we want to go. And I think that's why Memphis is growing. I think that's why Memphis is not a school that is constantly just in these, media narratives. Like, I think when he speaks, he gives you the answer and is very clear on that. And I think that's for me, what I take out of that. Definitely.
Well, I think that there are some interesting things happening. And I think, for instance, because I think this is a huge talking point, and this is something we talked about in the interview with Ed Scott yesterday. Think about how much money programs like Memphis spend on things like travel. How big is that travel piece? And if we're talking about the Pac-12, I mean, Corvallis, Oregon is not an easy place to get to. Going to the Palouse is not an easy trip to make. Like, how significant is that to you?
It's really significant because, look, the other set of experiences that I have is I played baseball in college, and I was fortunate to play a little pro ball when I was done. But I know what it's like to be on buses for 6-7 hours. That's not fun. And I don't want to put anyone's son or daughter in that position where they have to take a 2-stop, commercial flight to Pullman, Washington. And so that's very real to us. Look, we have to do a better job telling a better story at Memphis. Everyone wants to talk about how successful we are athletically, but what folks aren't talking about is a 3.4 GPA as a department or 58 student athletes earning a 4.0, right? So these young people, and 79% of our department earning a 3.0. 333 individual student athletes at a 3.0 or better. So I owe it to them to be able to pursue their academics at the highest level as well. And I still don't think you have to sacrifice the academic component for this pro model of sports that we're going into, because we're still dealing with 18 to 22-year-old young people. And my job is to give them the best experience. And I didn't think putting our Olympic sports in the Pac-12 for the amount of money they were offering certainly was not the best option for those young men and women.
Now, let's be clear about something. He never at any time said Memphis was not going to the Pac-12.
Right.
A lot of people took that out of the interview we did with Dr. Scott yesterday. At no time did Dr. Ed Scott, the athletic director at Memphis, ever say they were not going to the Pac-12.
Right.
What he said was he has not talked to the Pac-12. And I asked him specifically, have you spoken to the Pac-12? And he said he had not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he didn't say, I haven't talked to Teresa. He said, I have not talked to the Pac-12 since Teresa and I had that one discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa Gould, the commissioner of the Pac-12.
Right. Yeah.
So has he talked to their mercenaries? He has not, in my opinion. Is Memphis still a target for the Pac-12? Absolutely. Because I also think that the answer about how they did not sign any new contract with the AAC, the contract remained unchanged. If they want to leave, there's a buyout, which is huge. If they want to leave, they can pay and they can leave.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that's going to happen? I don't necessarily get the idea it's going to happen. And what was interesting is Ed Scott multiple times yesterday mentioned the Big 12. And talking to sources around the Big 12, Memphis is a very attractive brand for the Big 12. I have not been able to ascertain, and man, now I wish I had asked, have you reached out to the Big 12? Nobody in the Big 12 that I talked to wanted to answer that question. And I think one thing is very clear out of the conversations I had after that interview, the Big 12's not close to done. And I don't think Memphis is going to sit on their hands and wait for the AAC to raise the tide so all ships, right? They're not going to sit around and wait to do that. There is no question being in the AAC is detrimental to Memphis as things are currently constructed. And if Memphis wants to move and compete to the highest level of college athletics, the Pac-12 likely is not the place to do that. The Big 12, that move would make a heck of a lot of sense for the Big 12 and for Memphis. But I don't know that that's possible. But what I do know is when we look at the financial numbers that are currently being shaped and the revenue and the implications of this stuff, I want to put up this, I don't even know, this bomb that Iowa State's athletic director this morning just tweeted this, and let that sink in. The athletic director at Iowa State tweeted this morning, Jamie Pollard, about a gift that Arizona State Athletics got from the university. $51.7 million of a gift Arizona State gave to its athletic department. ASU reported $144 million in total revenue and $144 million in total expenses for fiscal year 24, with institutional support and student fees accounting for more than 1/3 of that revenue. The $51.7 million subsidy included $40 million in institutional and government support, and student fees accounted for 36% of the revenue. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I think when you look at that $40 million number, that's more than twice the amount ASU provided its athletic department over the previous 2 years combined. Of that $40 million, $37.6 million came via direct institutional and government support and $2.4 million in indirect institutional support. To which the athletic director at Iowa State said, not going to get any easier to remain competitive when the schools you compete with can do this, meaning Iowa State cannot. Not sure that's sustainable, but the reality is that is $51.7 million more than we received. That's a lot of bread. And when we talk about these financial numbers and you look at all of the educational money that comes into these schools, that's now a pivotal part of recruiting. You look at the money that they're getting from their media rights deals. It's now a pivotal part of the operations of an athletic department more than it has ever been. And I will continue to drive this point home. It's not how much money you get, it's how much money you make. Just because you got $50 doesn't mean that you made $50, because expenses are climbing precipitously. It's getting more expensive to play football and basketball. And comments like this, donations, funding athletic departments like this is not sustainable. I agree. This is not sustainable. But you listen to Ed Scott talk about going to the Pac-12. Does that sound sustainable to anybody?
No, I think that, it's a situation where, this is the type of behavior that would take place in pro sports if you didn't have, salary caps and you didn't have rules and regulations around, how much money you can spend. And, that's what would take place. And I think this is why you need, some regulation around how all of this works. But I think that what you can't do right now in a time when there isn't regulation is sit here and operate from a position of, weakness or, from an inferior place. I understand that Jamie Pollard feels like Iowa State can't compete on that type of level.
That's a big deal.
That's a big thing to say about your athletic department. And I think that obviously, Iowa State had a really good year on the football field last year. There's no doubt about that. Now, it flamed at the end. You didn't quite get done what you wanted to get done, but you still had one of the best seasons in the Big 12 last year. And so to me, I sit here and I look at this and I say, okay, well, number one, Arizona State has a ton of professional athletes that went there and support the program. I mean, the James Harden donation, like 3 weeks ago, I think it was, is one. Now you have this, obviously we've talked so much about what Utah got, that $14 million, gift, I guess is what you're calling it, into the athletic department. So listen, man, at some point, these institutions have to change the way they do business. And Iowa State is the next one that needs to fall in line. You have to generate more money.
And I think, and as much as everybody mocked me for this yesterday, go read the comment section. This travel thing is a big deal. It is a big deal. The financial implications of it, the mental health and well-being of your student athletes, you look at Mick Cronin, the head basketball coach at UCLA, talking about how teams don't want to come to Los Angeles one time when he's got to go back east 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
When you're Stanford and you're Cal and you're repeatedly taking 10-day trips to the East Coast now. I mean, you look at USC last year. Look at USC's travel last year. And that's not going to improve. So if I'm Memphis, Tulane, USF, UTSA, because of where they're geographically located, the impact is less, but not dissimilar. I think you have to really make pragmatic choices here. I think joining the Pac-12 is a mistake because it does not improve your financial situation. Memphis has a $62 million budget. If you join the Pac-12, you're probably going to have to up that budget.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. You're making more money, right? That you're getting more money, but you're not netting more money. You're bringing in maybe a little bit more money in media rights. That doesn't mean you're netting more money, because now I'm paying more educational infrastructure. I'm paying for more buses. I'm paying for more planes. My kids are I think his comments yesterday, am I the only one that noticed Ed Scott bring up soccer multiple times?
Yeah.
They have an elite soccer program that doesn't get into the NCAA tournament. How is that possible? How are they still ranked 16th in the country in basketball? Because it's Memphis, and their strength of schedule is not good enough to be a no-brainer, even though their soccer program's elite. And I think their basketball program's very good. But you're in a place now where you're the one raising the tide, and all the ships aren't coming with you because they won't fix their holes, so their holes are full of water and they're sinking.
Yeah.
I think it's a very tough place to be in the American. And I think this is the exact same thing with the Big 12. If you are not willing to be all in to win every athletic contest you can, especially football and basketball, if you are not capable, willing, and able to do that, maybe this isn't the place for you. And you know what? Memphis needs better than what the AAC is currently offering.
Well, and I think it's so funny how many money-based conversations we're having in college football because, the ACC settlement happened, right? And we had that whole conversation, and then we were able to talk to Dr. Ed Scott and hear what he has to say, and then this conversation about what schools are more important in the ACC in terms of where they would go and what they would do pops up.
Yes.
And so we've got this, you guys see the headline, this SEC expansion thing, and Paul Feinbaum had a lot to say about this. And I think that, this conversation about, and it was so funny to hear, Dr. Scott talk about this in the American, because if it's happening in the American, it's obviously happening at the Power 4 level.
I think so.
And hearing what Paul Feinbaum said about, hey, this new settlement in the ACC puts schools like Virginia specifically in a really tough spot, makes you wonder, hey, how does at the conference level, what is actually the best way to go about it? Because it seems like appeasing Florida State and Clemson may not actually have been the best decision by the ACC.
But if you look at what the SEC has done in recent years, they just went out and got Texas and Oklahoma, the premier state school, and that's important to remember. North Carolina is standalone. It's a preeminent university, but it also has good athletics and it used to have good basketball. Virginia doesn't have that, but they do. They are a brand, and I think from if you're sitting in there with 16 SEC presidents, they would much more likely gravitate to North Carolina and Virginia, who I believe also are drafting partners, to use a NASCAR phrase, as opposed to Clemson and Florida State, which for all their football prowess, and they are the last two ACC schools to win national championships, they don't offer very much in anything. They're the secondary. Clemson is inferior to South Carolina as an academic institution, and then you have the same situation with Florida State. They are behind the other state schools and as well as private schools in Florida. So I don't think either one of them have much to offer. And quite frankly, Greg, I'm not really sure why the Big Ten would want either one of them.
There you go.
That's tough, bro.
McElroy and Kubelik, ESPN Radio with the credit there. Paul Feinbaum. It's a good point though. When you look at the SEC, and I know that I'm the only a-hole in the room, because again, how long have I been telling you the SEC is not out for blood to get Florida State in that league?
You're a homer is the first part.
I will just continue to tell you, Florida State and Clemson, they're not overly attractive to most of college athletics. And you look at North Carolina, and again, I will continue to beat this drum. The heartbeat of the ACC is Tobacco Road. And I think the most compelling schools in that league are North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia. As I have been telling you for years now.
Yeah, and I think to that point, one thing that hadn't really, like, it makes sense when you say it, but it's not something that really hit me until it's been talked about recently, that the reason that the heartbeat of the ACC is Tobacco Road is because those were what the term Feinbaum used was writing members of the ACC, founding members of the ACC, not members that were added to the ACC.
Not Florida State, who surpassed the SEC because they thought the ACC was an easier route.
Yeah.
To a college football championship.
Yeah, which now has some weight in the conversation.
And I think when you look at who is really attractive, if we look at the SEC, who is really attractive in the ACC? I'm telling you, it's Duke and Carolina. And thirdly, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Those three continue to say it. But I have heard repeatedly that North Carolina wants to go to the Big Ten.
And by the way, to that point, all of you people who say that academia doesn't matter and academics don't matter and, it's all about what you do on the football field. I agree. Winning matters now more than it's ever mattered. I've always said that. But the idea that Paul Feinbaum, and love him or hate him, he's still Paul Feinbaum, just said in that bite that the Big Ten, he's not sure why the Big Ten would have interest because Florida State and Clemson do not live up to it academically, should tell you everything you need to know about how much academics matter in expansion or realignment scenarios.
I'm good looking, right? Like, I'm an attractive guy.
Yeah.
How many times are people going to say exactly what I've been telling you, hyenas, for how long? Academics matter. It's a lot of money, right? And again, we'll see what happens with the restructuring of education, and academic money matters. You were talking to Ed Scott yesterday about the way that
Alston payments,
the Alston payments are used.
Yes.
Right? Like, academics matter.
Yes.
And so when we're looking at what's like, if we truly ask ourselves, who would the SEC expand with? Memphis or Florida State? Well, they're probably taking Florida State. Right? But we're not talking about Memphis or Florida State. We're talking about North Carolina, Duke, Virginia, or Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no question, if the SEC had its way, they'd take Carolina and Duke over Florida State and Clemson every single day.
Yeah, and I think part of it, there's many reasons why that would be the case, but I think the most obvious reason would be that the SEC is obviously the most dominant football conference, top to bottom. They've got that taken care of. And they've been on this train the last 2 years, I would say, of making sure that basketball comes along, and it has. And so if the SEC had Duke and Carolina, I mean, you're just not going to dispute that the SEC is the best college athletics conference in the country. With all due respect to the Big Ten, you're not as deep on the football field, and you're certainly not as deep on the basketball court. And we haven't gotten to the other sports yet. So
yeah. As you guys hit the like button here on the Monty Show, I would just simply tell you that there is no question that football is going to change. Is Florida State and Clemson, Duke and Carolina leaving the ACC now? No, they're not. But if a Super League does not happen, and I think that would be, I don't even know circumstances that would allow that not to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if a Super League does not happen, and I think we'll know that because this is all 2027 through 30.
Mm-hmm.
So the world will be different anyway. I don't think there's any doubt there will be an arms race to raid the ACC. If a Super League does not happen, if college football does not break away into a new entity from the NCAA, I think there will be an arms race to raid the ACC. And at that point, I think Florida State's going to be in a really bad spot. And I just think Clemson's an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Dabo is a weird guy.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
He doesn't like NIL. He doesn't like the portal.
We built this program on NIL.
Frankly, I think that means that you can't compete in college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's weird. I think Florida State has not beyond the fact that Florida will fight tooth and nail to keep Florida State out. What is really attractive about Florida State to the SEC? I don't know either, because they already have a huge footprint, or Florida State and the SEC rather. They already have a huge footprint in Florida with Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that Miami and Florida State are not ideal fits in the SEC. They are not. They don't perform at a high level on a consistent basis. Neither one of them do. You have whatever is going on at Miami with basketball, whatever is it in Mario Cristobal we trust? Not really. Not really until he can show. Mario Cristobal needs to win the ACC championship.
Right.
He needs to put the Hurricanes in the college football playoff. That's when we can say, hey, but until he does that, no, I don't know how many people believe he can. But when I'm looking at value, North Carolina and Duke make me money. That's the bottom line. Florida State and Clemson make themselves money in the ACC. But do they really compete, especially in a place like Tallahassee, Florida, when you are surrounded by SEC schools already? It doesn't expand your footprint. It doesn't bring you exponentially more revenue. So I don't think they're a great fit in the SEC, Florida State. But why is the Big Ten, again, a conference built on academics and making money? Why is Florida State an ideal fit in the Big Ten? I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be very interesting to see how all this plays out.
I just think that people thought Florida State was going to leave or was going to have this real easy path out to greener pastures in 2031. And I understand initially how you may have come to that conclusion, but when you start looking at who would want them and what they'd have to take to get into those conferences.
And where are they a really good fit?
Yeah.
Where is Florida
Where does
State?
It make sense?
Florida State's not, like, I can point to Miami would be an unbelievable fit in the Big 12. Louisville, North Carolina State.
Mm-hmm.
I even think Duke could be a great fit in the Big 12. But you don't have academic partners to run with Duke in plentiful fashion in the Big 12.
Yeah.
You're not an academic powerhouse. If Duke had its pick between the Big 10 and the Big 12, it's not a conversation.
Nope.
Right? I think Virginia Tech, great fits in the Big 12. I think the Big 10 will take Virginia tomorrow if they had the opportunity.
Yeah, see, to me, I think that Virginia is a Big 10 school and Va Tech's a Big 12 school.
I would agree with
that. Look
that.
at both of those, and it's very clear who's going where.
And all I will say is, let's go back to Memphis in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Is Memphis a perfect fit in the Pac-12?
No.
It's not.
No.
It is awkward. It is a square peg in a round hole because of logistics.
But again, why is it that this is even a conversation? Memphis and, the other American schools that we've talked so much about. Well, it's only a conversation because the Pac-12 doesn't have other options. And this is kind of the point. Again, whether it's Memphis in the Pac-12, whether it's this SEC, ACC dynamic that's at play clearly, or whether it's the Big 12. I mean, any conference looking to add a school has to check a variety of boxes, logistically speaking. Travel is the first thing. I think what is the geographic setup? Are we going to have to fly, a ton more to make this work? Memphis in the Big 12? No, you wouldn't have to fly a ton more. That works perfectly fine, right? That logistically speaking, the Big 12 works fine. But the Pac-12 obviously is a whole different scenario. So that's number one. You've got a ton of added costs there. Dr. Scott told us that as much, and we've all known that. And so then it's like, all right, well, if you're the Pac-12, from the Pac-12 side of the conversation, well, you're on the West Coast, man. Who else are you going to go and add? Because you're not going to add back Calford. You don't have a chance to add back the Washingtons and Oregons and all these other schools. So that's why I keep saying, and I saw all the comments yesterday on our channel from all the Pac-12 people listening to Dr. Scott talk about this. Oh, well, yeah, we're still going to add them, and this isn't going anywhere. And it's like, dude, you have to understand you can't just add whoever the hell you want to add.
No, you can't.
There's circumstances that have to play out here.
Hey, real quick, somebody forgot to tell the Vikings they're not a good football team. The Vikings just added Javon Hargrave from the 49ers in free agency. So you're going to have Hargrave, Allen, Grenard, and Van Ginkel across the front.
Dude, the NFC North is becoming Maybe not the best division in football. If it's not the best, it's the second best. Like,
jeez Louise, the Vikings got better. And this is, again, and they got Will Freeze. Oh, my God. They're spending money it's endless. And Minnesota is going to be good. So, again, I ask, is J.J. McCarthy your starting quarterback?
Apparently.
Let's get to your comments here. And I really want to, this Memphis to the Pac-12, that's a huge conversation. Because I think if Memphis, Tulane, USF, UTSA, if they're willing to go to the Pac-12, the money's got to be spectacular. Because I don't know any other reason you would do it. I truly do not. Eric and Raleigh used to have good basketball. Yeah, North Carolina. Well, we have not been good. I'm a North Carolina basketball fan, and we have not been good.
They haven't been good. You know, really like the same team for several years now.
Yeah. Kealani, isn't UVA usually the top 10 in the Directors Cup? They are. I would agree with that. Feinbaum is Sankey scrotum.
Okay, cool.
I actually don't think that's biologically possible. I could be.
Biologics.
Yeah, I don't think scrotums have
biologics
voice boxes.
Human or non-human?
I could be wrong. Eric and Raleigh, none of the ACC schools offer even good value. Well,
that's not true,
get carried
dude.
away.
See that's where you go wrong. That's not true.
Let's not get carried away. Wasikowski, UNC Duke leave in 2030. The conference collapses. Well, I've been saying for years, if UNC leaves that conference, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. So, conundrum. SEC is now the basketball conference. Better add UNC, Duke, and UVA. It would be huge to add them. So
I'm not convinced that UVA would prefer the SEC over the Big Ten, though. I think if you're Virginia, you know, you're an academic powerhouse and you have a good basketball team, and you're not really a football school.
I think Virginia is not a football school at all.
So like I understand the connection to the SEC. I get that, but if you're Virginia, I think it would be Big Ten and then SEC if from their side of it.
I would agree. Big Ten and equals Notre Dame and UNC or Stanford. I think, man, it's going to be a long 4 years for Stanford and Cal. I don't even know how else to.
There is no other. That's just what it is. Like,
man, it's going to be tough.
But again, I'll keep saying it because everyone's bandied about whether that was a bad decision to go to the ACC at the time they made the decision. If that decision leads to you getting into the Big Ten, it was not a bad decision.
I would agree. And the pain was worth it. Eric in Raleigh, academics shouldn't matter in the Super League, and they probably won't. If we're being honest, they probably won't. Big Ten in 2030, UNC, Duke, Virginia, and Stanford. Could be. Kealani. Bigger doesn't mean flagship. Otherwise, UCF would be the Florida's flagship. Ain't that the truth? Bigger does not. I agree with that. Loner Phone has decided to join us today.
Welcome to the show.
Good to see you. Boyd Lake, academics only matter when they matter, meaning they get used as an excuse in conversations like this one. I don't think that's the case, Boyd. I think people don't want to talk about academics.
Yeah.
And this was all during the Pac-12 meltdown as well. Every yahoo in the world was like, nobody cares, Marty. Turns out they cared. A lot.
Well, I just think that, so again, it's this sort of rubric that you have to fit into to get into a conference, right? So like the Big Ten prides itself on academics, right? The Big Ten is a conference that says, hey, like we're really, really strong academically. That's one of their key pillars in describing themselves. So when you look at the Big Ten, you know, I disagree that it's an excuse. It's part of what you have to be if you want to be a member. So like Virginia is an obvious fit because of their academics, right? They share that same, you know, philosophy about academics. And the thing is that it's not like, you know, academics is just 100% solely responsible for everything a school does. But it's one of only two sections a school has. You've got academics and you've got athletics. Everything falls below those two umbrellas. You're either on that side or on this side. And so when you talk about the Big Ten adding schools, the Big Ten doesn't want to be seen to do business with a school that doesn't pride itself on academics or maybe doesn't have as high a standard as most of the other members in its conference. Because if the Big Ten is just out here adding, and again, it's not to slight Florida State, but it's just the reality of it. If you go out and add Florida State or Clemson, schools who you can go out and get an education there, obviously, but they're not these just juggernauts academically, then what does that say about your conference?
But I also think when you look at Iowa State, Texas Tech, Kansas, Utah, like the R1 research institutions, the Big 12 won in expansion in that area.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a list of the like, when did Baylor become R1? 2022? Like, why do you think these institutions are trying so desperately to become R1 research institutions? Why do you think it matters to Arizona State? Why do you think it matters to Baylor? That both Baylor and the Baylor College of Medicine are R1 research institutions? Because it makes them more money.
Yeah.
It makes them a hell of a lot more money.
And again, the point remains that athletics in the overall university's budget, the athletics is just one line item.
Yes.
Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, and that was the other thing that I think maybe people just didn't like latch onto with the Dr. Ed Scott interview we did. He said that Memphis uniquely, their athletic department is responsible for 60% of the overall school's budget, that they have to, as an athletic department, raise 60% of that total budget. So again, that's these one-off situations that Memphis has in their setup. Schools have unique circumstances. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's not an excuse. Academics are not an excuse. They are a part of the conversation.
Is Duke an R1 research institution? Is North Carolina an R1 research institution? Yes. Do you think they want to go to poverty programs that are not? No. And this is, anyway, I'm probably too far off the reservation. I'm telling you.
No, I think it just speaks to the point of, again, like with the Big Ten, and the SEC has some of this too, but more the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The Big Ten prioritizes schools who are R1, accredited.
Look at what Ed Scott said yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, FedEx gave us a huge donation, and we have to go raise our portion of it to get 100%.
Yeah.
Like, Memphis has to raise money. They have to go out and find money. And I thought one of the more fascinating parts of that conversation yesterday was his thoughts on private equity.
Mm-hmm.
What was his answer? I grew up poor. I don't like taking loans without knowing how I'm going to pay them back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very pragmatic point. Schools like Memphis that are, I think their athletic budget, forgive me if I'm mistaken, is $62 million. Ohio State's got hundreds of millions of dollars, and Memphis is $62 million. We're playing in different,
but still performing at this level in basketball.
Right. And again, I think when you look at why it matters, I think it matters because you look at Memphis as a product, R1 research institution. They have the ability to raise money in multiple different channels. Memphis is unquestionably an attractive property.
I think
Tulane is unquestionably an attractive property.
I think that, and this hadn't really crossed my mind with the Memphis Pac-12 thing until just now we're talking about this. I am genuinely curious if you're the Pac-12, like the R1 thing, R1 accredited universities, I'm not sure that's even a consideration with where you're at with things.
Can it be a consideration?
Can it even be a consideration? And if you're Memphis or, any other R1 accredited school who does really well athletically and is looking to take that step up at some point, that's another reason why you wouldn't want to go to the Pac-12, because again, you've done all this work. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know the entire process off the top of my head about how you reach R1 status, but you've done all this work. You've gone through the process. You've put in all the legwork and the time. only to go to an opportunity that doesn't reward you for that, only to go to an opportunity that doesn't reward you athletically, financially through your athletics. Like it does not make sense for Memphis or probably really any of the American schools to take advantage of the Pac-12 situation at this time. And that's why I say like when Dr. Scott plainly says, hey, I haven't talked to Teresa Gould about that one time. It speaks to, hey, like we're not aggressively pursuing that opportunity mainly because of, so let me get this right, just off the top of my head. Travel is a problem. You're an R1 accredited university, and I'm not sure that you're going to get your flowers for that going to the Pac-12. Then we got to talk about the college football playoff if Memphis has aspirations of that athletically at some point down the line. And we got to talk about the basketball tournament. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
So that's why I say everyone dying on the hill of, gosh, the Pac-12 is going to go and get these American schools and they're going to get back to, like, I'm not so sure that that's just rubber stamp, bro.
You added Boise State. Is Boise State an institution of higher learning? No. Fresno State? No. So obviously Washington State and Oregon State are R1. But I just think it's very interesting what you can do.
Yeah.
And what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Memphis needs a better situation. They've got to find a way to get into a conference situation. They either need to get the people in the American moving forward, or they need to get into a group that has their shared vision.
Well,
and I think it's going to be tough because I don't know that going to the Pac-12 solves their problems, frankly.
Well, and I don't think that a move is going to happen anytime soon for the schools in the American when you consider the 2030, 2031 timeline in the ACC. Because again, just like we talked about with the Pac-12 stuff before, right? When the Pac-12 melted down, in order for schools to move, all the chess pieces on the board have to be moving. So like an ACC meltdown would be a catalyst to schools like Memphis and their situation getting to bump up into the Big 12. The Big 12 isn't just going to say, hey, Dr. Scott, yeah, it looks like today's the day, right? You got to have a reason. There's got to be a process in place and an opportunity for that to happen. But I do think one thing that's very clear out of that interview is Dr. Scott knows how to talk to people and knows how to build relationships. So what will be very interesting to see is, hey, when the time comes, where do they go?
Yeah, and I think they're a great fit in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, with all the R1s there, with all the money that's being made there, with all the innovation that's being done there, I would love nothing more than to see Memphis bump up. Obviously, their basketball program,
valuable,
without question. I think what Penny's done there, what they continue to do to support that program.
And geographically, it goes without saying
it's a good fit. It's a great fit.
Yeah.
It is a great fit. All right. Less of us, less of you in stuff. Oak State James.
Okay. Now I have to say, yesterday after the show, again, looking at the comment section, a lot of people talked about near TCU comment and, all that. So let's see what you do today. Let's see what you do today. Let's see if you can bounce back today. And
Memphis would be a much better fit with the Big 12, but who else do you bring in? I would say Tulane. I mean, Tulane's fantastic, but that's a big step up for those programs. And I don't think it's easy to do that. You're seeing the struggles of a Cincinnati. You're seeing the look at Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, another R1 institution.
You feel like Houston's struggling, you would say? I mean, I feel like Houston...
I think there's a big ramp-up period. I look at Utah going to the Pac-12. Obviously, I covered Utah going to the Pac-12, and it's a big ramp.
Yeah.
And it's what's so spectacular about BYU in the Big 12. Now, BYU was an independent. They operated as a P4 even before then, so maybe they're different. But I think it's a big ramp-up to compete from a G5 to a P4. I don't think it's easy at all. I mean... I think Memphis would be a home run ad for the Big 12. I agree with that. Tiger Jeb. Schools without a medical school attached have a harder road to hoe when it comes to big money grants. I would agree with that. There is a medical school in Memphis, but it's a branch of University of Tennessee. Medical research is
massive. endless.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that. Jeb, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
UW fan Jim. What are the Seahawks doing? I think the Pac knows they should not expand east of Texas. I think that is a big conversation happening in those circles. Geographically, what's the right thing to do? Because I don't think there's any doubt if the Pac-12 focused on the Rockies West, they could be an absolute dominant brand. But I don't know that they have the perspective required to do that, because they also are concerned about TV money and being able to maximize their media deal if they only stay regional.
I don't know how you come back to being a conference without merging. I'm going to keep saying it.
I don't know either.
I don't know what that process looks like. I don't know how you get to, as the great John David Wicker said, back to 10 teams after this media deal allegedly is going to get done at the end of the month. I'm not sure what that process looks like.
I don't know.
For you to do that when you consider all these different options, man. I'm not sure how you do that.
End of next month, we will have the MOU done for our television deal. So we will know what our TV deal is going to be, who our partners are going to be. I will say this, they're entities that you're familiar with, that you would recognize. We're going to get great exposure, and the really good thing is we're going to get more exposure. It's not just going to be football and men's basketball, but it's going to be all of our sports are going to have the opportunity for this increased exposure. It's going to be increased revenue, which is a big thing for us. So that's really the next big piece. Once we know that, then we can go recruit that 8th football playing member. We need one more football playing member that has all of its sports to meet FBS rules or NCAA FBS rules. And then after that, we'll figure out if we're adding 1, 2, or 3 more schools, and whether they're coming in all of their sports. They might be coming in some of their sports.
Why do people like J.D. Wicker, that's the athletic director at San Diego State, talk off the top of their head? I'll never understand it. It's March 11th and not a cricket coming out of the Pac-12. We'll see. Does that change? Is it happening soon? It might be. Are you moving in the right direction? I believe they are. Will they get a media rights deal? Yes, they will. But you have to kind of find this place where one person is talking. J.D. Wicker needs to stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Because why put a deadline out there like by the end of March we'll have? I'll never understand it. I will never understand that at all. Jimmy Otson, time to build some truck stops in Memphis. Could be that you can fly over, and stuff. Boise is a JUCO. They only need a 2.25 GPA to be accepted there, but they're moving towards better academics at Boise. I think they are going to have a reputation to overcome. Conundrum. Tulane and Memphis would make a nice Big 12 pair. I think Tulane and Memphis are wildly undervalued.
I think it also depends on when that would happen. It has the Big 12. Would they be some of the first schools to enter the Big 12 in expansion? Would Louisville and Pitt and Va Tech have already joined the conference? And that, again, it's all circumstantial.
Pitt is really interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't think as an athletic brand, Pitt has a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked about this ad nauseum. West Virginia and Pitt will forever be a great game. But what does Pitt bring to you athletically beyond that? I don't know. And I think that's a big question a lot of people ask. So Big 12 don't want Memphis. I wouldn't go that far. Arizona's struggling financially in the Big 12, but has nothing to do with the Big 12.
Yeah.
Arizona's struggles are not related to being a member of the Big 12.
They are related to awful accounting.
Yeah, in part. USF would be good ad once they get an on-campus stadium and bring back the War on 14 with UCF, and that stadium's coming. So, Tiger Jeb, FedEx made a big play with the sponsorship money for the Big 12 5 or so years ago, and everyone took a huge dump on that. Okay, welcome to the show. But SMU bought their way into the ACC, and everyone applauded. I don't disagree with that.
Who are you, the Joker, dude?
I don't disagree with that. I don't think that SMU has any business being in a power conference.
Yet here we are.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Boise was very close to being R1 in station in 2024, but does it close count? You are or you're not? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Jeremy Bolton. Harder Road to Hoe was the name of my high school band. I heard that. And you could play a lick on the guitar.
Right.
Okay. Pac-12 needs to expand downward with the Dakota schools in Montana, but they got to jump up. And that's really tough, man. Rock and Rant, San Diego State athletic director should take an internship under the Memphis athletic director. Bro, J.D. Wicker just should not be saying this stuff in public.
And it's not personal to him. I don't think anybody should be talking. I think Teresa Gould should be the one that makes comments about this stuff, and that's it.
Yeah. Yes. Check it out. Be honest to Memphis and Ed that they ain't going to the Big 12. I'm not saying they're going to the Big 12. I said they would be a great add to the Big 12. Maybe the ACC when teams leave and run away. I think that Memphis has a lot of what you like. They have a good TV market. They're good in athletics. They have good sponsorship dollars and support. They have good academics.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis is attractive. I think the next 5 years is going to be very telling. The next 2 years, you better be getting all your ducks in a row, man.
Yeah.
You know, good God, JD is painful to watch. Yes, he is. TJ Beck, he flies in airplanes. JD Wicker is Rogue One without the success. Dude is a loose cannon.
I don't think we didn't put Wicker. See what he did there?
JD Dicker. The kicker?
Right.
I just glossed right over that. Harder Road to Hoe was the headline after they added a police station on 4th Street. Okay.
How is that a thing, dude? How did this turn into a thing on the show? Like, you guys are incredible some days.
Tiger Jeb certainly understands the way this game is played. And by the way, Memphis is getting 2 Buckies and a few in and outs, so we got that going for us. That's exactly right. I mean,
no, so I just want to point out all the references here. By the way, that's the first reference. By the way, and then you've got the Buckies portion of the
with
conversation,
capital TWO,
right? With TWO,
guys. Listen. We're getting not 1, not 3, but 2 new Buckies. And what we were talking about is we're going to put them inside of an IPF that Memphis is going to build on the upper deck of their football stadium.
Stay hard.
So we're in good shape, FedEx bitches. JD Wicker, I personally believe that U.S. Americans.
Dude, I personally believe
that U.S. Americans are able to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps.
This is fucking America.
I personally believe that we will have a media rights negotiations, signed MOUs and such as in at the end of the month.
This show never fails to deliver.
Such a good troll right there, dude.
It just never.
Yes, Americans.
It never fails to deliver, and I love every one of you professionally.
So good.
Delaric, Memphis to the Big 12 is basketball only initially. Not going to happen, I don't think. They would never do that. That would be detrimental. Norge Coog. This has to be a BYU take. You don't want to have more than 20 schools in your conference. Big 12 has to prioritize ACC schools when it breaks up.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think in the traditional model, you don't want more than 20. But I think when you start, considering this Super League or new entity that is, being cooked up. If you think about, all right, well, if football, breaks away into its own thing, then having 20 schools or that number, that benchmark can change.
Guys.
20
schools, including BYU, who is the school.
I want you to listen to me.
Because we're the Monty Show presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. You get into an accident, you get hurt at work. They're great with workman's comp. The thing I love about the Advocates, they employ empathy, and it's such an important trait on the worst day of your life. And we play the commercials all the time, whether talking to you on FaceTime or iPhone or whatever you need. Telephone, in person, online chat, get to the Advocates. There's never a consultation fee. There's never a retainer. It costs you not a penny to chat with an injury attorney right now, 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. You've been in an accident, you got hurt, slip and fall, no matter what it is, get to theadvocates.com. So want to reiterate, big changes coming to the show. April 1st, we are going to be moving back to afternoons, 3 to 7 Mountain Time. And I know there are some of you who are not going to be able to join us there. We appreciate all of you who have watched our show and who participate in this show. But starting April 1st, we will be moving back to afternoons to facilitate some other things that we are working on. 4 hours is better than 3. So we're excited to be doing it. And I hope that you'll follow along on Twitter. Excuse me, X. Did you guys see that X got hacked yesterday big time?
No, I did not.
I was trying to figure out yesterday afternoon, like, why can't I access my Twitter account? Why is my live video not playing? Because they had a massive, what X called a terrorist attack on their infrastructure. But all of you who watch on Spotify, all of you that watch on YouTube, obviously, Facebook, TikTok, X, we appreciate your support, and we'll hope you'll join us in afternoons coming up on April 1st. Conundrum. So you are facilitating morning golf?
No.
Could be. Steely says Twitter was down half the day. Yes, it was. That was a rough day. Daniel Dixon, good. Afternoons was too much better. Okay. Okay. Noel Ramirez, I doubt UCF would go in with USF to a new ACC after USF tried to keep them out of the Big East all those years ago. Rivalries. All right, couple of things before we get out of here today. Stephen A. Smith got paid $100 million at ESPN. I said 100. Stephen A. Smith got paid $100 million to run for president at ESPN. Your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was hilarious that this news came out last week, and the next day LeBron's on the court. Le Dad, Le GM, Le Flag Bearer is out on the court telling Stephen A. Smith to his face to stop talking negatively about Bronny. And so this whole contract thing with Screamin' A totally got buried by that. And I thought that was very fitting for Screamin' A, because he, obviously had been talking so much about getting the contract and getting that done. And look, man, I'm not a Stephen A. Smith guy. It's not I don't think he's a bad guy. It's not personal.
I don't think he's entertaining.
I don't think he's all that entertaining. That's the problem. And, I think that, clearly he's got value to ESPN. Clearly you were never going to allow Stephen A. Smith to work anywhere else in his career after what he's done at the network. So, I get it, but that's still just a ton of money, man.
$100 million.
So much.
$100 million. I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine that. It's wild. 50 million after taxes, maybe. 100 million.
So much.
Based on what? On what? freaking LeCarron. He's the one who put LeCarron Light into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Look, see, that's a Bronny James, LeCarron Light. Why do we have so many issues with Bronny James being on the Lakers? Why is that a problem? He's not on the Lakers full time. He has clearly become a better basketball player. He is dominating in the G League.
The problem is that you're not going to run from he got drafted where he got drafted because of Bron. That's why people don't like it. He did not earn that draft selection at that spot. I do think he was good enough to get drafted. I'm not the guy that says he would have just not been drafted and he only got drafted because of LeBron. I think he only got drafted at that spot that high in the draft because of LeBron. Now, the thing that nobody wants to talk about is when you were selected, I think 55th overall, there were guys, he's been producing more than other guys around him in that same general area. So, like, I agree he's gotten better, like, for sure. But there's no question that you know, Bronny gets hated on because of the father-son thing. There's no doubt. And again, it hasn't really happened in the NBA. We haven't seen that dynamic very much at all. And I think that, you know, LeBron, you know, LeBron doesn't really do anything to get in Bronny's way, but Bronny hasn't played great since being in the league. It's not like he
with
rolled
the
in.
Lakers. I would agree with that, but he's gotten better. In the G, he averages 20 points a game, 20.6, 2 steals a game, 5 dimes, 5 rebounds, shoots 50% from the floor and 36% from 3. It's developing as a player. And I think if you're LeBron James, you earn the right. You're one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. You are arguably the greatest player in the last decade. Probably not arguably. Inarguably, you are the greatest player in the last decade. If you have the ability to put your son on your team and play together, why would you not do that?
Because I don't think they play together very often. I mean, we don't see them on the court almost ever. It's always Bronny's on the bench because that's where he's at in his career. And Bron's doing what Bron's doing. And yeah, I do think that there was some, hey, I'm LeBron James, I won you a championship, you're going to do this whether you want to or not type material happening in that draft. And that's fine, I guess. I guess Bron's earned that. But I just think that ultimately, when you ask, hey, why do people not like Bronny on the Lakers? That's why. Because I'm not sure they would have selected him there.
I'm certain they would not have. And I still don't have a problem with him being on the Lakers.
Well,
I think
you're the one then, because I think that's why people hate it.
So is Dalton Connect a complete bust? No, they got a good rookie. They've developed off Austin Reeves. They traded for Luka Doncic. Like, what is I just don't have a problem with it.
It's the premise. It's the premise of it.
Right, which I don't have a problem with.
Well,
LeBron has earned that, in my opinion. So, you know, LeBron drafted his son. That's why. And why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? If you were in LeBron's shoes, what would you have done? If he was still in Cleveland, what would you have done? You'd have drafted your son. What would I have done? I would have drafted my son to make history as the first father or son duo in the NBA. To play with my son, history or not, I would have drafted him.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. I don't care if it was the number 1 overall pick.
I think
don't
it
care.
would help if Bronny didn't struggle so much at the NBA level. I think that he just hasn't looked good.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody thinks he is an NBA All-Star. I think he's good enough to be on the end of a bench. It's not like he's playing 25, 30 minutes a night for the Lakers.
No, but I think that's the point, is that if he was that kind of player and it was him and Bron, people would be like, oh, this is crazy cool. Like, you know, Bronny's the next generation. He's dominating.
He wouldn't have been available to them.
Well,
he would be on another roster, right? Like, I don't know. I think we don't like LeBron because it's LeBron. We don't like Bronny because it's LeBron. And I just don't have a problem with it. Noel Ramirez, LOL, I like how Stephen A told Kendrick Perkins to shut it when he was about to bring on the whole Jokic MVP thing again. Kendrick is a very interesting personality. Conundrum, 100 million, a nice round number. Certainly was. TJ Beck, Stephen A. got the pro rata 100 billion. Good Lord. JD Dicker probably will announce a joint venture with the Pac-12 and Stephen A. I think it can happen. Could happen. Jeremy Bolton, I have no issue with Bronny one bit. I have issues with LeCarron strong-arming the Lakers to draft him. Do you think he had to strong-arm them to draft his son? I don't think he had to strong-arm him at all. I really don't.
They wanted to draft him.
I think they want, I don't have any idea if they wanted to. I think they had no problem doing it. He is the Lakers. They were terrible last night without him. He is the Lakers. They lost to Brooklyn last night. LeBron is the Lakers. There's no doubt. There is no doubt. Bronny is looked like a late round prospect. It's not like they took him in the top half of the first round. Right? Where did they draft him?
55th, I think.
55th or whatever
I believe
it was.
It was 55th.
Why do we care? Right? That's the thing I don't understand. He's 20 years old. I think we also forget that he's 20 years old. And I'd like to I don't want
I think it's the antics, man. It's like, if this would never happen if it was anyone else besides LeBron. Okay, well, it is LeBron, so that's not a fair point. Okay, fine. It's LeBron. Okay, cool. So LeBron tells the Lakers, hey, and let's presume that this conversation about Bronny took place, after the bubble championship, when it became more clear that Bronny was definitively going to get drafted by somebody. Okay, Bron goes to the Lakers and says, hey, I want to make this happen. This has been a goal of mine my whole career. Okay, cool. The Lakers acquiesce. No problem, Bron. We'll do this. Okay, you draft Bronny. You guys have your moment together. Okay, cool. But then I think it got worse when the LeBron thing happened with Stephen A. Smith on the floor. When that
doesn't help. That's for certain.
When Bron wants to go to Stephen A. and say, hey, stop talking about Bronny negatively. Stop being so hard on him. It's just not a great look. The media is the media, bro. So LeBron going into full, dad parent mode is not great, man. That's not what you need to be doing. With all due respect to Bronny, he's earned the criticism.
He was drafted 4th from the bottom. 55th out of 58 total picks, because the Sixers and Suns didn't make their picks at the end of the draft. He was drafted 55th out of 58 picks in the NBA draft this year. Why do we care? That is as late round pick can get. You understand there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft, obviously. I just think we make way too much out of it. Anyway, I'm probably making too much out of it now. All right. Main Event says, once LeBron retires, Bronny will no longer be on any roster. I think you're completely wrong. I think you look at he's 20 years old, and he really didn't even play a full season of college basketball. He's 20 years old. He can already compete defensively. And he's already dominating in the G League. The idea that he just can't play at all is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous. All right. I don't know why I am fascinated with the firing squad story in South Carolina. Somebody needs to explain to me, and I hope I'm never in this situation. I have no idea why you chose firing squad as the manner of your death. I would love to understand this. It's the first firing squad execution in 15 years. This person who was convicted of killing his ex-girlfriend's parents.
Buddy.
I'm not going to say his name. He chose the firing squad over the chair or lethal injection.
Well, I understand why you didn't choose the chair. I get that. That's rough.
I would not want anything to do with that. I am amazed by this. I don't want to know the choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ever have to make that choice. What would you choose? Could we even put ourselves in that realm?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
you don't think you could?
Dude, imagine you wake up one day and it's your final day on the planet. Your final day of life. Because I don't know how many days he had known what his execution day would be, but let's just presume it was a week ahead of he knew. Just for conversation's sake.
Mm-hmm.
For a week leading up to this, you knew that on this day at this time you were going to die. And all you could do is sit in a box and wait. Do you know how horrible that is? And I'm not saying he's a victim. I'm not. He earned that. But what I'm saying is I'm just trying to sit here and be like, man, I'm sitting in a cage because I killed what did you say it was? His wife's
parents with a baseball bat.
His
girlfriend's parents.
You bludgeoned your girlfriend's parents with a baseball bat. And now your life is going to end because of that. And you chose firing squad. So is that because you want it to be quick? I'm assuming they shoot you in the head. I'm just a guess.
No, they shoot you in the heart. The way it works is they put a metal chair in a brick box. They strap the prisoner to that chair. They put a hood over his head. They put a target on his heart. And they have 3 prison employees. That one of them has a live round, the other 2 do not. And they all fire at the same time. And the prisoner is executed.
Yeah.
So it is.
Why does this fascinate you? What is the whole, just the decision or like
just the whole thing? Like you're in a brick room. There is a partition between you and the guys firing the gun, and there's a slat in the partition. Like just visualizing it is terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine putting a hood over your head knowing you're about to die?
Do they count it down? Does it just happen?
I don't know.
Like,
the chair faces a wall with a rectangular opening 15 feet away. 3 firing squad members are behind the wall with rifles facing the inmate through an opening. The rifles in open portal will not be visible to from the witness room. All 3 rifles will be loaded with live ammunition. Okay. The inmate will wear a prison-issued uniform and be escorted to the chamber. The inmate will be given an opportunity to make a last statement. The inmate will be strapped to the chair. A hood will be placed over his head. A small aim point will be placed over his heart. After the warden reads the execution orders, the team will fire. After the shots, a doctor will examine the inmate. After the inmate is declared deceased, the curtain will be drawn and the witnesses will be escorted out. Members of the firing squad are voluntary employees of the prison, and they must meet certain qualifications.
Good Lord.
That's
I don't know. I mean, I guess the whole concept here just would be you want to go quick. I mean, right? That's what it is.
I would think you can't tell me it's not painful though. Isn't it incredibly painful to get shot in the heart? I don't know how long you live after that.
I don't know, man. That's in what state was this in now?
South Carolina.
And does South Carolina not offer lethal injection?
They do. He chose firing squad.
Did choose. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
he chose it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe he wanted to go out with a statement. Maybe that's why. Maybe he wanted to make the news.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe.
I
don't know.
I think it is. It just, I don't know why it fascinates me. I don't know.
Well, I think when you consider the perspective of you're sitting in a chair with a hood over your head and 3 rifles pointed at you, like you'd be terrified. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe this guy was calm and was like, today's the day. I finally get to move on. Maybe that's what it was for him. I don't know. But for me, I'd be terrified, 100%. I would be completely like, yeah, this is not good. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Honestly,
I don't even know how you come to that choice.
I would probably be shaking in the chair, legitimately.
I would assume you would be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to be one of the guys firing the guns?
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to be there. I'm happy to say this. I don't want to have to kill anybody in my entire life.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that.
But
Like,
imagine volunteering to be one of the three.
Well, I
because it's completely volunteer.
I can understand if you worked in a jail, and you're I don't know what their official title is, but a cop in the jail or whatever, like you're one of those people. I guess I could understand
A corrections officer.
A corrections officer. Thank you. And if you're a career corrections officer and you're tenured and this is something that is important, I guess.
Dude.
Okay, cool. But I'm not, I don't know, man. It's hard sometimes with these, different topics, these unique situations to be able to relate. I can't relate to somebody in that position.
Do you think he did it as one last remember my name thing?
Probably. Yeah.
I was listening to Howard Stern yesterday, and that's what Howard said. Howard said he did this so he could be famous one more time.
I would guess. Yeah, probably. I mean, again, I don't know. I would love to ask somebody who has gone through these proceedings, about like, hey, does the inmate, feel pain when you go through this? I mean, there must be a moment when that happens, because if you shoot someone in the head, lights are out. It's over. Like that's going to be instant. But if you shoot someone in the heart, there must be a window in time and space where
you're still alive.
You're still alive. You feel it, but you're dying quickly. Whether that's 5 seconds, 3 seconds,
man,
whatever. Right? We've all seen it in the movie. Someone gets shot and it takes them 3-4 seconds to kind of lean over and they're done. Like, I don't know. That's tough.
I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. I am here to shop at Costco instead of Amazon or Target. Let's wrap with this story today. Where do you guys shop? So I'm a huge fan of Costco. I think the price alone, the price of their produce makes it worth it for me. Every week, I get everything from lettuce, peppers, potatoes, berries.
Peppers.
Like bags of romaine.
Yeah.
Like I get it all at Costco. And I think if you're one of those scumbags who shops at Target, I just think that you're there for the social interaction.
I don't really get it.
Nobody wants to go to a packed big box store.
Unless it's Costco.
Unless you have a significant reason to go there.
Uh-huh.
And I think at a place like Target, you go there for coffee and whatever it is you like to pick up and put down and shop. And like, I go to Costco because I need ground turkey, produce, energy drinks, butt wipes, Impossible Nuggets back at Costco because I need Impossible Nuggets. Right? So for me, I'm in and I'm out. Now, most of my shopping is generally done on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I go to my local grocer, Harmon's, ketchup, a loaf of bread perhaps once a month, right? Because I don't eat much bread. Mini bottles of orange juice. I drink a bottle of orange juice every day. Stuff like that. I go to Costco for the bulk of my food. And what do I get on Amazon?
Golf balls.
Golf balls occasionally. I get my oats, my Bob's Red Mill oats. I'm trying to think what else we get. Electrolyte tabs. Like it's dwindling.
One-off stuff.
Yeah.
That not like Amazon. I was never the guy that was doing my grocery shopping on Amazon. That was never me. I like to go to the store. I like to experience that. I like to it's just, I like doing it. So I was never getting my apples off of Amazon. Amazon has always been hey, I've got a Prime membership when I need something. Okay, if it's not a grocery item, let's say if it's a one-off thing, a GoPro mount, some golf tees, so I don't have to drive 20 minutes to the golf store, like just stuff like that, like one-off
golf
stuff.
tees for sure.
Yeah, like one-off stuff. Okay, Amazon, cool. Like groceries, yeah, I'm the thing is with Costco, like it's really interesting for me. Like, yeah, I go to Costco every week and I get my couple of items, but I'm not spending like $200 a trip at Costco. Like it's only ever like $70, $80, like it's not like I need a ton of stuff, but I like walking around Costco. And I think that's the thing for Amazon that people, I don't know if I think it's tomorrow is 5 years since the pandemic was announced as a global thing.
Wow, is that all?
Yeah, I think it's 5 years tomorrow. I saw was the anniversary of day one where COVID was announced as a global pandemic. And so I don't know if people are just graduating out of this now and are back in the place where they want to be in person a lot more and like are kind of like because COVID put us into this place where stuff like Amazon was vital, and ordering online and using delivery services. And now we've kind of left that. And now we're sort of slowly but surely trudging our way back to in-person normalcy. And I feel like maybe that's part of this, because you were saying that people are kind of burned out on like the subscription and
the subscription stuff. The biggest, so this was a big deal that people are more comfortable shopping at Costco than they are at Amazon or Target or Walmart. And one of the things, the subscribe and save frustrations that I deal with on a pretty regular basis, people hate that. The fact that there's overcharged or items, like you can't put your hands on the item, it gets delivered and it's damaged. People are frustrated with that. But if I look at what I buy on Amazon, Bob's Red Mill oats, Cosequin for my dog. I buy deodorant. My deodorant gets shipped to me because Costco doesn't have it. Fish tank stuff. I have a 50-gallon fish tank. I bought my filter. I bought my aerator.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like those one-off items are what Amazon is great for.
The wrist brace I wear for golf. The recovery gummies that I eat. The like just all this one-off stuff. You're right. I don't have much subscribe and save stuff on Amazon. That's with like I buy my bucked up creatine. I get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? Like those are the things that I buy. I am not going to Walmart. I am not going to Target. I hate going to Walmart. I hate it. I hate the parking lot. I hate the people. I hate the frail old man that stands at the front door. I hate the whole thing. I hate Walmart.
Yeah.
I know. I'm the scourge of the earth for saying that. Okay, let me be the guy then. I hate Walmart. I hate Target because of the people who shop at Target. Let me go get a Starbucks and, let me go look at all the different colors of Crayolas. Screw you.
Bro.
Noel Ramirez, Amazon is for those moments if you just randomly order something in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Haven't been to Walmart in a year, and the first time back the other day, a dude went in and broke all of the cash registers.
Nice, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's that stuff.
Bro, if you work at Walmart, I would love to talk to you about the daily nonsense you have to put up with.
I'm saying. Sharon Eccles, good morning. Costco is really good at making you buy something you didn't plan on buying.
Yes, they are.
What have I bought there I didn't plan on buying? Floor mat. One of those rubber floor mats for my kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Interesting. Do you guys ever, I do not, I grocery shop once a week. That's it. Because I control my budget. It helps me not buy bad food.
Mm-hmm.
Like once a week, that's it. So I'm pretty rigid. I have the same route that I walk through Costco. I walk straight down the main aisle, go right into produce, walk right over, get my ground turkey. Usually I'll swing by if I need the mango salsa that I get there. Then I go back. Then I get my Monster and my Celsius. My wife drinks Celsius. What else do my dog food, my fresh pet dog food. They sell it at Costco. I buy that there. We go around. We get the Impossible Nuggets if they have them. Peanut butter, the all-natural peanut butter, maple syrup, seasoning aisle, vitamins, and then we go home. That's my route through Costco. That's it. You will not find me in the center aisle looking at clothes. You will not find me looking at books.
The center aisle.
You won't. Stay out of the center. Dude, stay out of the center area at Costco.
You didn't buy a TV at Costco. You bought a TV on Amazon.
I did. Multiple TVs on Amazon. Multiple TVs. Can you imagine what Walmart would look like with a bar in it? Oh, my God.
Get it right. It's a Buc-ee's, please.
I'd pull up a stool and just watch. That would be incredible. Mr. Preston. Oh, whoa. Comment dump. Target has terrible produce and meat.
Yeah, you shouldn't be buying food at Target, dude. That's not what Target's for.
I'm telling you, it's cheap. The produce prices at Costco are really good. It's one of the main reasons I shop there.
Mm-hmm.
Blueberries, for instance, are so much cheaper at Costco than they are. My grocery store is Harmon's. It's so much cheaper to get blackberries and blueberries. Red grapes, seedless grapes, so much cheaper at Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Romaine lettuce in a bag. My wife loves this Asian Chinese salad mix thing. She gets bags of those.
A big.
So much cheaper at Costco.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Monster Energy, so much cheaper at Costco.
Yeah.
Not close. Not even close. Trader Joe's is a great store. I haven't shopped at a Trader Joe's in a while. Fat Jesus. Wait, I can't open drink in Walmart? Oops. Exactly. I think the whole thing, this whole idea is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me. There you go. Interesting mix of the show today. Jake all in on Sam Darnold sucks. We'll keep you updated on NFL free agency tomorrow. Thanks to our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, where you never pay a penny to talk to one of the best injury attorneys in the business. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.